You think back to the winners bracket, they came second, but also, more importantly, the regional finals of APAC North. This is the team that decimated it, ending it in 4 games. Not credit for other people got to play out for placement, but this team hit the back-to-back-to-back wins, and, well, let's see if they can do it here today. But I want to talk about another squad, and that's going to be Keenatrope. A lot of fans here in the Galen Center for Mia K, One Tappy, and Arufa. Think back to our elimination rounds that we had witnessed. This squad featured a back-to-back win with a massive Arufa clutch-up. That slide around to win it all. I really love what we're witnessing from this squad. When you think about the journey that they've had, you might notice the names One Tappy and Mia K previously from Riddle Order, but they've kind of all come together to throw down. Now, we got to think about this. What are we going to see? They did lose out in Laika, who went on to play for another team. We'll talk about that in a moment, which was in charge a lot of the fragging power of that original team. And, well, with Deep Learning as their coach who carried forward, I'm excited to see what they bring together. So, here's the deal. There's one squad in particular that our crowd went wild for, and I think it's all time that we know why. Fnatic. I don't know if it's a Yuka supremacy or if it's a Fnatic supremacy. Some fans came up to me today and they were like, here's the deal. Fnatic is taking it. Between Yuka, Satsuki, and Laika, they were mentioning specifically saying this addition to the trio has just cranked them up into a whole other dimension. Looking back at the winners bracket yesterday, well, we get to see a massive work here on screen, that double Kraber to win it all. That wasn't just the only game they won yesterday in the winners bracket. Like, come on. They had a 3rd place with 18 eliminations to outscore everyone, then to hit that win with 12 kills, and then back-to-back 2nd places in what quite possibly could have been one of the most stacked lobbies that we had here this week in the Galen Center. Look, they could do it, guys. We're going to see another region potentially hoist that trophy.
This is one for the record books. It already has been, with Dark Zero performing the biggest group stage we've ever seen, winning in incredible fashion. APAC North dominating the winners bracket. Fnatic starting with 10+ points in our match point finals. All of these had led us to our picks for today, the talent picks. And at home, you should be predicting as well. Who do you think is going to win? We've been keeping track of it, and let's talk about it. TSM, I've got to go for them. I'm going down with the ship, and they're either going to sail me to Bora Bora or we're going to crash in the ocean. I don't mind.
Bora Bora sounds nice, right?
It's a beautiful place I've been. Glitter, you're going to Dark Zero, and I think this is a great choice, too. They look like a team that is on a mission of redemption, and they're so close to completing it.
It literally just boiled down to how terrifying they looked throughout the entire competition so far, even into winners bracket, which we always talk about how that's a preview of what we can expect here in match point finals. I could not pick DZ.
Aurora, Tiff, it makes so much sense. They have dominated Pro League. They've been dominating here. If they do it today, this will be an epic win and the return of the Grim Reaper Hardeki officially.
It will be an epic win solely because they have not won a single match here this week. So if they win the match that is needed, it will be the one that makes them hoist that trophy.
And now, Reject Winity, last one, Dia, you've got them winning.
Yeah, this team, as Tiff said, has already won match point, has won it the fastest in the world. They've already performed incredibly at LAN, and APAC North is looking good. Reject is looking the best.
Well, competitive Reddit, you also went for Dark Zero. We'll see who is right at the end of the day. We can only guess at this point. And you know how it goes in match point finals. You got to get 50 points, and then you got to win, or we go again. Los Angeles, can you make some noise? Because we are about to begin our match point finals.
Game
and to kick
1.
us off here at the Galen Center, it's 2 of the best in esports. It's Onset and Gaskin.
The stage is set. And the question that everybody had coming into this week, as we start a new season, was, can anybody dethrone the dynasties? Well, as we head into our match point finals, Dan, the question is still to be answered. TSM, Dark Zero, in this lobby, 2 teams who have claimed every title in the ALGS.
So much history within just those 2 teams, but so many facts that may go against them when we look at what has happened previously at LANs. Remember, we have never seen a team win from the elimination bracket. Can TSM change that? As we are underway, we are out of the dropship, and we are straight into Storm Point.
And let me tell you, it is so loud in here. This crowd is hot. for our match point finals today. We start on Storm Point, which is where we've ended most of our tournaments that we've had in the Apex Legends Global Series since its introduction. But today, it's our starting point, and we do have some contests to talk about. Here's our first one of the day.
Oh,
it's EA
ALGS
versus 07.
Yeah, this is going to be a big one. Assert some dominance right at the start of this tournament, at the start of this day. And Elevate already getting some high ground here. Whether they can actually try and engage, you can see they are desperate to try and get some sightlines, but 07 just playing together at the moment, playing low and not separating too much.
Interesting to see both teams understanding the POI and the elevation differences that there are. So both teams have picked the horizon to make sure that they can negate that. It looks like the extreme height, like we saw, had been taken from the dropship by E8, but it's 07 who are looting kind of the perimeter of things right now. Nobody wanting to engage down, and this is something we saw yesterday.
Yeah, this is the only POI that is potentially contested as well. Everyone else has found somewhere to call home here on Storm Point. So lacking early fights, you'd have to imagine that, and understandable when you look at how stacked this lobby is. But now you can see Nasky trying to get some opening damage to allow Amphi just to push up a little bit. But on white armors, you've always got to be careful because it can just be ripped through instantly.
We're going to see the push come in here from E8 as well. They want to engage, they want to pressure. Nomad's going to slow the push down for a second. Pretty good weaponry to work with here for E8, but it's all about that opening knock, that opening damage. If you can get that first knock and get out, it's so vital for you. Head glitch is being used here. You can also see the Evo Harvester is up as well, so an opportunity maybe for someone to try and overextend for that chance to get those Evos up.
Yeah, both teams are going to have eyes on it, but also this is taking a long time. 2R1C and Omi are close, but that's a good amount of damage around. This is where you need your conduit.
Well, it looks like the push is going to come in, and Nasky will get down first. However, the trade will also be followed up as Nax, with that Havoc, is going to do a good amount of damage. Now, Amphi, Nax, trying to work together at the moment.
Didn't go for the reset.
Amphi will go down, so now Elevate find themselves eliminated. And it will be 2R1C who come in for the third party. This took far too long, this contest.
That's what I said. 2R1C heard what was happening, and they just moved north and said,
actually,
we will have that KP.
Eliminated.
It's free. They would have been looking at that drop spots, looking at where teams were going to be potentially fighting, and they will pick up the pieces. So maybe a lesson for both teams there to try and get that fight done a little bit quicker, as we can take a look at the map
took
where
a little
we're
long.
heading down towards the areas around Pylon. You can see Not Moist and Cloud9 already found somewhere to call home. Liquid Alienware at the moment are going to be playing on that northern side up towards Jurassic.
That was a free cleanup.
Zero are moving right down to the southern side.
Yeah, very interesting to look at that contest and just take a second to kind of dissect exactly what happened. I think you've got to give 2R1C a lot of credit, right? They would have known that that fight was going down, like you said. They would have done the preparation to know that if certain timings went their way, there might be an easy third-party opportunity for them. And not only does it clear their rotate, but it also guarantees them some points. Dark Zero under a little bit of pressure on the southern side of zone, as you said. Jim Burton down to about 10 HP, but he's got plenty of time here to pop this back.
Yeah, Dark Zero wanted that Evo Harvester, but they've been kind of stopped in their tracks by Virtus Pro, and it's going to have to be a plan B here, you imagine. So Zero needs to think about things, and who else to be on the other side here but Sharky and the rest of Virtus Pro saying, actually, Dark Zero, we know how to hold the southern side. They should be in a good spot for the remainder of this game, providing Dark Zero don't decide just to full send onto them.
Sharky doing his best Kovacs impression at the moment as he sends all the spiders out, the spider cave.
They're warming up.
And VP just holding out Dark Zero. This is such a strong spot to hold for the long game here. Just cutting off all the rotates down on the southern side. And if you can control that height over Pylon a little bit later on, you give yourself such a good walk into where that zone is going to be if everyone does stack up there. So that's why you're seeing Dark Zero take this rotation from the middle towards the south. They want to try and get past them. They want to try and approach this from that hill.
Yeah, I was wondering when they were just going to try something else here. They can go all the way around if they would like. And seems like Trident is going to be the option just to reposition for now. Have to be careful every time you hop into that Trident, the later the game gets, because you can just take so much damage and you really will be a focus point. Now we can look at around the rest of the map. We did see Not Moist make their way to Pylon very quickly, as have now LG. Alliance have also found somewhere to call home, just behind that extremely large tree. Maybe too large.
Question to be answered by many. Not Moist then, inside.
Not Moist playing in log round.
And this is an interesting thing. We were talking about this before the games got underway today. What pace are these lobbies going to play out, right? Is it going to be a lot of teams who are spending time collecting Evo, trying to force their way in a little bit later and take fights with purple and red armors? Or is it going to be a lobby where everybody is taking the opportunity, if a POI and a zone is near them, to look for those prio spots? Well, I think we're getting our answer at the moment. A lot of teams already in zone down, and that makes working your way in from Edge a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, there was a lot of questions we asked coming into this one. You know, how many matches are we going to get today? That's always the biggest question. And historically, the most we've ever had on land
Dang.
is 11, all the way back at the pre-invitational at Poland. As
Ooh,
Omit
look at-
make their way in, they slam into the center of
One
Poland.
shot.
It looks like they've been able to do the job. Lufka almost went down, and had he, then could have been a very different scenario because there was a lot of teams focused on them.
Well, a lot of support for this team when they walked out today on that main stage. Liquid Alienware. They're in one of the pyramid buildings just outside of Pylon at the moment, kind of overlooking the central structure. And if it does pull this way, which we have seen before, this is a really, really strong position to hold. However, if you lose the doors of this building to a couple of frag grenades, whatever it might be, it becomes increasingly difficult to hold. They don't have the Watson in there as well to eat up any grenades that get thrown in. You can kind of get
Yeah,
sucked into a
I feel like
position
this
where you are
is gonna
so
take
vulnerable to any of those
6 matches
explosives.
for sure. Maybe.
Yeah, this next zone in 25 seconds is going to be a big one for all these teams that have already heavily committed, but it's 2R1C, again, in Jurassic Park. They moved away from Jurassic earlier to third party against 07, and now they're looking to try and take a fight yet again. Team just backing off ever so slightly.
Probably back.
Well, you can see they're full of confidence at the moment, and why wouldn't you be? They've already managed to third party once, but this is RC they're going up against.
Ah,
And now it's a situation where it doesn't
Eliminated.
look quite as strong, and 2R1C will be eliminated, and RC looks strong in that.
Is there any other teams, though? That's the real question. Anyone hearing what just happened? It looks like Aurora actually are
That's
very
him pulled
close to
up.
this, but the Gold Reds could be massive. Now Reject Winity can get back on their feet, they can get healthy here, but Aurora are closing in, and we know what Aurora can do when they're in these scenarios. They can surround this team now, and can Reject Winity go back-to-back holding this place?
Beautiful movement here from 9 Impulse, looking for the opening pick. For
Somebody
his team.
griefing?
He's got to get out of here for just a second though. The armor swap is there, but it's not going to be a full one. They do get the first knock though, as Oirain goes in with that Havoc. So now Reject Winity find themselves
Up the
down
res.
to a 2. However, with the Watson, they can just slow down
They
the
get the
push
res
a
off?
little bit more.
I need to get the red off,
That
but I
res
don't
as
know if
well.
they'll be able to get the reset.
Serenity are in the area.
We just get knocked again?
Aurora, no, they have to push it. They have to commit. Sangjun goes down yet again, thanks to Hardeki's damage. But Aurora have 2 teams to worry about now. It is not a simple push for them.
The more this gets stalled out, the more likely
Yep, another team
for
pulling up.
RC are to be able to survive. It looks like you can see Serenity.
We're up
really
for a
don't think
cleanup,
about
but I
that
think
fight in
the
this one.
3-peat.
It's going to be Reject Winity who go down. And Aurora will win their first fight of the day. They look like they should have time to reset here.
I think it's Serenity. Serenity clean up.
Serenity's so aggressive. They know that Aurora are weak, and they are going to go in. They are going to shred. It's a 1-for-1 trade right now. Serenity have done the initial damage. Can they follow up?
Oh.
It's still a chance.
Still
And
one?
Aurora, oh, it's so
Oh,
close.
by one
Legacy
shot.
with a slither of HP. Just
No
survived,
way.
and Serenity will get the job done. No other teams in the area.
Wow.
So close.
Serenity got so
surviving there
lucky.
for Aurora. That is heartbreak.
That was a fast. Yeah,
Knock
that
is
was
going to be big
fast.
for getting the teammates up, but wow, that's how close these fights are going to be today. 1 HP, the difference between Aurora living and dying and watching
Holy.
on the observer screen. That's where the zone is going to be going. You can see that maybe it's going to pull a little bit more south than a lot of these teams initially
Decent
thought,
playing
and that's why
very
you see
conservative.
Dark Zero now in a very, very strong
There is a
position.
lot of
VP
teams out there that
still holding the position we saw
put
from
up
them
a
a little
fight.
bit earlier as well. But I mean, that fight just sums up what we expect to see today, right down. Every single fight is going to come right down to that wire.
And that's what we're going to see a lot of as well, with Edge teams arriving late to POIs. When you do hear a little bit of commotion, if there is that opportunity to third party, you have to take it, because these points could be everything to get yourself towards match point. Remember, you have to get to 50 points. That then puts you match point eligible, and then you win 1 match after that, and you will be the victors here today.
Now, this fight here, or potential engagement, I should say, is completely isolated on the northern side of this zone. It's
Well, Fnatic try to go for a
and
cleanup.
Cascade Falls.
Get
It's
some
going to be
KP.
between Fnatic and Disguised, and I'm pretty sure that Disguised don't want any of this. And yep, there's the answer that we were looking for. Straight in the Trident, straight out there. They want to try and extend this game a little bit more. It's Fnatic who were in fantastic fighting form yesterday. They probably looked at, probably thought, hey, this could well be them on their rotate, and it's just not a fight we want in our first game.
Disguise
Alright,
gonna
that's
be
smart.
one of the last teams to rotate alongside.
They're gonna run
Fnatic.
into
But if they continue heading east, they are going to find it a bit problematic with TSM and Legends
They're
already
gonna run into
in this
TSM,
area
yeah.
you see now on your screen. And TSM don't need to push Legends. They have the better position. They can literally gatekeep them and force them to come to them via the zone. And they have spotted Legends Gaming now on the cross. It's whether they can get enough damage to get a knock.
Koiful taking a little bit of zone damage as well. Gets that bat off though. However, he's just getting mowed down.
Legends
And it will be
Gaming.
reps and a combination of the zone that takes him down. So now Legends Gaming in all sorts of trouble.
They need to scan behind. They're gonna get walked up from behind from this DSG.
TSM looking to get the re-knock here. It looks like the res has come in. They're not wanting to overextend, and understandably why, into that zone. Well, they will think that this is an opportunity for KP here. If they could just get an opportunity to re-knock, to do damage, then the zonies can do a lot of flesh damage to Legends Gaming, who are trying to rotate at the moment, but a bit of a scary moment on both sides there.
Well, TSM might be the gatekeepers at the moment, but they may become the gate kept, depending on how they plan their rotation. If they move
Yeah, they need to start
further,
rotating.
Innitrope are going to be waiting for them, and Slayer out of nowhere gets taken down, but it's going to be a trade 1-for-1.
Is it theirs?
It's Innitrope on this side.
It looks like Slayer managed to get back inside, but here comes Funk. Oh, what a spray that is!
And then a team.
From the young man, his first event on the main stage, and showing that maybe Championship Sunday is going to bring the best out of him.
This is perfect over TSM. I said
He's
they
in
might
pulling
get
up.
held out, but now this is the distraction they needed.
Oh,
They
DSG
feel like
behind
if they
them.
can push up, they can take this POI off them if they would like. But maybe they'll play this one a little bit safe. And all the meanwhile, by the way, TSM has to still consider what could be happening behind them.
Well,
Yeah,
one thing that
TSG
is happening
creeping.
behind them right now is Koiful going down to the ring again. So Legends Gaming, who they were holding out a few moments ago, are struggling just a little bit here to stabilize and get back into the game. Just looking at our minimap, it looks like they will be able to get inside the zone, but it's a long, long way for them to move. Elsewhere on the southern
Wow.
side of the zone, this is Dark Zero. And remember, they were trying to work their way in from the west of Storm Point on this southern side for quite some time. They went all the way
Dark
around
Zero
now,
going for the
they're
early
on
rotation.
opposite side to VP, who are holding
Oh,
out a little bit earlier.
DSG.
Speaking of holding out, TSM are going to do a jump here on Disguised.
Yeah, Disguise, they came in late. We saw they were on a big rotation onto the eastern side. TSM can hold them out here and can use the zone to their advantage. But remember, LG are going to be on the other side. Wraith Ball could do something.
Can design for somewhere to find somewhere.
No,
to put
he
the
should've done
other
it
end of that
longer.
portal down to get his teammates safe. Can he out-rotate TSM here and get ahead of them? And it looks like the answer might be yes. Some good damage coming in on both sides. Oh, my spray!
Rep son.
Hal is the last alive. Hal gets two. It's a 1v1 and
Oh, TSM. Oh, this guy's the fall.
However, the damage that was exchanged means both teams will fall. As now we look over to the other side of Pylon now. This is Jurassic. And the entrances to where
Damn, the
everybody
Payless
starts back
Slave.
up.
None of these teams are in the zone, by the way. There's 4 of them outside Jurassic, all kind of fighting. Looks like Legends are going to leave, so it's going to be Serenity and Fnatic just as the last 2 teams to maybe have a little scrap. It could be a straight 3v3, depending on how they take it, but Legends will be watching over it.
Couple of ults are available, though. You can see for Serenity, one that isn't is going to be Beast of the Hunt, but of course the gas certainly is. You can see they're trying to use it here.
Fnatic
To
on.
hold Fnatic out. They don't want to make this comfortable.
Gonna
for
get
them.
lost.
And it looks like UKF is going to be that final player alive. He goes for the Sky Nade. He's hoping it's going to be a banger. It's pretty good, but it might not be enough here.
Trying to find any sort of damage through the smoke, and it's not necessarily working out from right now. All the
SSG
meanwhile,
trying to pick
all
off
these
some
teams
people.
who were in Pylon earlier can watch over all of this commotion and try and pick up some KP.
Fnatic will be eliminated. UKF not able to clutch up for his team in the way that
Fnatic
you would
can
imagine.
eliminate.
Reviving with that goal, knockdown's going to be good, but they can't afford to stick it because another team is now overextending to try and clean these pieces
I think they
up.
It's
all.
Legends Gaming. It was the team that left earlier, but Omen also doing damage from a distance. Serenity down to 2, but Legacy again on maybe just a slither of HP to work with. And Legends really want to be able to thirst this one, get the possibility of an Evo Shield swap, but now they're back up to a full 3, so at least they can calm down for a little bit. Serenity have just got out of dodge there. They didn't want to take that fight, and they leave the body behind.
You got to say Legends Gaming have done a really good job of even getting in towards this zone. We saw them just a few moments ago being held out by TSM. Well, they wrap all the way around, they find a place to play, and then they third-party the fight that was going on the northern side of the zone that you can see. But we mentioned how the zone looked like it was going to pull away from Pylon towards the south. That's exactly what's happened. And at the bottom, right near
Wow.
where that zone is going to be pulling is the two
Dark
teams
Zero's
that we
gonna have
saw
to fight
just kind of jostling
Virtus
with each other a little
Pro.
bit earlier on, right? VP and Dark Zero, both of them in the best spots on the map.
Yeah, Dark Zero very intelligently, right at the start of this game, avoiding Virtus Pro, not taking that fight directly because they knew what a power position it could be and that they could share the bottom of this circle. So both of them will be fine for now and are really going to be the ones to watch when we get to that last circle. Cloud9, another team that can be a real threat, but Serenity, Legends, Omit, SSG, Not Moist, Alliance, they've all got to move now. Circle's coming in.
Luminosity will be eliminated. We're now into our top 10. Half of the lobby has fallen. As Zone 4 starts to close, Serenity trying to go forward, trying to work their way towards Zone. Everyone who's on this side of the zone at the moment is probably thinking kills is our way for points. Not Moist in the kill feed as well, as are SSG and Ziny. He's found himself a wingman. As player K is looking for bodies.
Oh, SSG are doing so much. Serenity will eventually fall. Legends still staying together, still wolfpacking
Alliance
at the moment
fall.
and surviving. Alliance go
Omit
down.
falls.
Omit the next to fall.
Oh, some of the teams just dying here.
Just like that, with a snap of your fingers. Now strafing Flame. He'll actually take out the
SSG
remainder
gone.
of SSG. Just 6 squads here.
6 squads remaining. Everyone who banked on Pylon now has to leave, and you can see what a problem that is. There's only room enough for a certain amount of players at the end. One team who's doing a pretty good job here on this northern side is going to be Not Moist.
They got pushed. Legend Gaming.
Just a few moments ago, it looked like this was going to be a horrible game for them. But now they're in the mix.
In the mix, can they get the final kills? Yes, they can, but sadly, there is always one more, and it's Cloud9. They hadn't even found a victory until yesterday, and now they find themselves in the final 3 here, in the grand final of match 1. Now, Dark Zero, Virtus Pro, and Cloud9, your last 3 teams here in match 1. VP on the southwest, Dark Zero on the southeast, but Cloud9 are the first team that have to move from the north.
Everybody full, everybody healthy. ALGS is going to be popped here as well. You can see that the utility is going to be a big thing, and from where all of those fights have taken place, you would imagine that every single player...
This is going to be a long end game.
ALGS, with the fact that they haven't had to directly engage VP and Dark Zero, should have their ultimates available. Like you say quite rightly though, the more treacherous path here is going to be for Cloud9. They have to work their way uphill. But Dark Zero might think about being a bit cheeky here on VP.
Whoa.
Dark Zero getting very aggressive on the Virtus Pro, and they might see those blue shields and say, actually, maybe we just take this fight quickly before the third team arrive. It's purples versus blues.
I think it's even more than that. I think they're trying to burn their ults. I think they're trying to almost fake it out here, and you can see that Sharky was forced to back down here and use that Bangalore ultimate, which he now would not have available a little bit later on. Dark Zero always thinking one step ahead. Cloud9 might have seen this opportunity to push though.
Well, Cloud9 saw that there was action happening, and now they're getting aggressive. They recognized they were in the worst position on that northern side, fighting up the hill, but they're backing off. They say, actually, no knocks in the kill feed, a silly push, let's just take our time. Everyone at the moment very hesitant to get engaged, and quite rightly so. You don't want to be the first team to lose someone.
I think this is just every single team showing that they don't want to be the first to engage, right? They want to see if there's an advantage. If there's not, they go straight back. They play it slow, they play it safe. Jen's not going to have his Rolling Thunder available. Pricey's used his ultimate as well. So now you start to question, hey, Cloud9, they might be the only team with their ults available, thanks to the fact that VP and Dark Zero had that little kind of dance on the top of the hillside here.
Yeah, Nox Grenade can make a big difference, as can an amped up Sentinel. Dark Zero need to be well aware of the positions they're taking. They know they're a little bit vulnerable now. There's that small gap between the trees.
If Dark Zero plays it really slow, might be able to win it, but it's anybody's game.
Could really make the difference and maybe encourage C9 to push up this hill.
But C9 has a low ground, so
on one side and we have Zero on the other. Long-term APAC South fans would probably think that that was impossible. At one point, they were almost joined at the hip when it came to playing together, to sharing success. But now it's opposite sides, opposite colors. And Dark Zero, their cover is starting to disappear here. This palm tree is serving them well.
It does seem like Cloud9 and Virtus Pro are both focused on Dark Zero right now, and when Dark Zero recognize that, they might have to just commit to fighting one of them and try and play for second place. It's such a horrible thing to have to do, but sometimes when you get that realization, you might have to.
Well, Dark Zero have got to move first here, and you can see that's why they're trying to do damage.
Dark Zero knock. You got a knock.
Well, naughty by nature. It's going to be Sykes who goes down at first here.
May not be an opportunity to get a red as well. You will see now. Bangalore ultimate comes down. Rolling Thunder will do a lot of damage. Sorcerer's going to fall because of it. And actually, it's advantage for Dark Zero swinging this.
Dark Zero swinging this. They play for second. They think that this is their opportunity.
Virtus Pro might actually get the W in this.
And it'll be C9 who somehow managed to hold it off, but this is just opening the door for
Virtus Pro
to come in. Sharky's return to the finals.
Wow.
Starts with a win.
What a moment that is for Virtus Pro. An excellent day yesterday, and it carries on here today. 15 points on the board just from that match alone. They can start to maybe think about, well, we're in the mix of this one. Taking down the likes of Dark Zero, right? It's not like they were gifted a victory. They had to work tooth and nail. They had to work so hard for it. Such a slow final circle as well, with 3 teams all so scared to push one another, hoping someone else would blink first.
For the hardcore fan of Apex Legends, that endgame had everything. Looking to manage those ultimates. What utility do you have available? How does the zone influence who has to move first? What decisions have to be made? Can you burn the other teams? It was just brilliant. And it's VP, who after everything had pretty much been thrown at them, were the team who survived the longest, who managed to hold strongest to let the zone make the plays for them. They make that play in the end, they clean up the damage. Well, what a wonderful bit of endgame navigation, and I think patience as well from them.
Other teams who picked up a lot of points, Cloud9, of course, getting to that late game. SSG were up there because of the amount of kills they were able to get from Pylon. They were having a field day with all of the teams arriving from the northern side. They were just picking everyone off one by one. Those kills could be massive with their chances of getting to match point first. It wasn't the biggest of victories from Virtus.pro. We have seen bigger wins, which means they're not going to be as close to match point as maybe some teams have been historically after finding a victory in match 1. But it certainly has given us an indication of how tight these lobbies are going to be. Very slow and methodical to begin with, and then just having to make those last-minute decisions when the zone forces you into one another.
Yeah, I think it's going to be some incredible end zones today. That's one thing that we can guarantee, right? Everybody is looking to get a prior position, looking to get into zone early. And by doing so, that means that when we get to those end games, it's all about the gray matter, what's going on between the ears, those decisions that you make that decide if you're going to come out as the champions. A fascinating first game of our finals, Dan.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, there was just so much different ways you could have played it as well, and it all goes back to the very start when we saw the rotation from Virtus.pro and from Dark Zero to ensure that they had that southern side, and it really paid off for both of them in the end. But sadly for Dark Zero, they just got focused by both squads in that final 3.
And Dark Zero just couldn't hold off the push in the end, tried to play for those kills and almost managed to get it done, but C9 held strong and VP clean up. But it's time for us to jump into a break now. When we get back, map number 2 of our match point finals is coming your way. Dark Zero got to move first here, and you can see that's why they're trying to do damage. Those shots from Naughty. Dark Zero will be eliminated though, and it'll be C9 who somehow managed to hold it off, but this is just opening the door for VP to come in. Shockey's return to the finals. Alienware, the official PC and monitor partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Every world is the same. You give them one tiny push. Suddenly they all fall apart. And I get to play with the pieces. This world is so fragile. How adorable. They've locked the door. I'm gonna take this. You're clearly done using it. This cat and mouse game is getting boring. Time to end it.
Hope you're not expecting a thank you.
How tragic. I've ended worlds. What is one measly legend?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Split 1 ALGS playoffs. Game 1 is in the books. Everybody, I'm Vicky Kitty. I'm here casting alone because I can't find my partner anywhere. We gotta see where he's at. Let me know if anybody finds Genome, everybody, because he's probably looking for that Split 1 trophy. What a huge game it's been so far. But I think, is that a whisper in my ear? Do I hear Genome? I can't find him. Where are you, Genome?
Wait, you can't see me?
No, okay. Now I understand. Now I get it. But Virtus Pro, everybody's looking at them right now. You are cheering in the back. VP come out on top with game number 1 dub.
It was an awesome effort by the boys, as Onset and Gaskin were mentioning. Getting into the south in that particular pylon zone, just absolutely crucial to them taking out the win. Let's have a look at the match results now and get a sense of where the teams are standing after that first game, as we've still got one more on Storm Point today. It will be that 2-2-2 rotation. VP, as you can see, there's only 3 kills for them in the end. Most of the kills actually going over towards teams like Not Moist and Space Station Gaming.
It helps when you land over by Barometer before you make that southern rotation. C9 coming through with 4 KP. You see Not Moist, though, lighting up the kill feed with 7 KP, and even Space Station.
Yeah, Serenity also, 8 points for them. We saw them take a couple of clutch fights, putting down Juggernauts like Aurora. Only 2 KP for them after that scuffle down in Jurassic. That was a very impressive fight. And I mean, we just have to give it to those boys who, they come out of APAC South. They don't have any experience at LAN, basically. And, it's a middling position in Pro League. And yet here they are slugging it out, taking wins against Aurora, one of, if not the best fighting team in the game.
That's crazy. You also have to consider the starting points for some of these teams as we take a look at the series results, because we know that VP, they started with 2 extra points going into the day. They finished with 17 total points after that first game dub, and then Serenity right behind him with those 16 total points.
Yeah, and that's why our match point finals here at LAN tend to be, maybe 1 game shorter on average, you'd say, because people do start off with some points already from those advanced standings. Obviously, Serenity starting off with 8. Virtus Pro also had a couple. And then you've got teams like Reject and Fnatic who just balled out in the winner's bracket. Not doing so much in that first game, but that doesn't matter. They've given themselves a chance to stay in the competition by doing so well on day 3.
That's why it's so important when you have teams that finish in the top 3 in that winner's bracket that had those 8 starting points. And it's cool to see how teams, even like DZ, coming in with 7 points too. And of course, with some of these players playing out here with their own peripherals, I also want to give a huge shout out and big thanks to our sponsor, Battle Beaver, the official controller partner of the Apex Legends Global Series. Swing by the Battle Beaver booth here at the event where you can pick up your own limited edition ALGS Split 1 custom controller, available only this weekend. Battle Beaver is also offering quick repair services for competitors here at this very venue. If your PS4 or PS5 controller is drifting, make sure to stop by and check out their drift calibration test.
I'm sure there's plenty of controller fans in the audience here. As I look around, the Galen Center is more full than it has been all week. So many fans here. Some, I can see, have been here the whole time, every single day. Love the support from the community that we're getting here in LA. The match picks come in now. We start to see our second game shaping up. That initial contest, we saw that from 07 struggling in game 1. They've had plenty of time. That's the thing about contests, Vicky. You lose it, you get a good 20 minutes to just sit there and discuss.
And that also plays a factor into these legend compositions when we see this. I mean, we saw it during our group stages. But game number 2, everybody, LA, are you ready? Seeing every seat here filled up in the stadium gives me goosebumps, Gino.
Match 2,
You can only
let's
imagine
go.
what these players are feeling right now. Money on the line, let's go. 50-50 that we were expecting to see. E8 versus 07 commences again.
So Cedo Station is the home of our first battle for the second time. This one starts a little bit more in earnest with Shubi and Zap immediately going down to the alternator of Nasky. All right.
Zach Razor taking the zip line though before he slides in and they get eliminated. Nasky with the pop off. The auditorium just rages.
Wow, they just cleaned
Make
up
some
house.
noise for Nasky. 07 getting some revenge.
So much hype. I think the admins actually had to intervene there and say, guys, you need to stay in your seats. Oh, that's got to be a relief for the boys. Taking that first loss. And this is the thing about Sunday and match point, Vicky, is that every game that you go out immediately, you get 0 points. It just starts adding pressure onto you, right? You got to think, oh, we're further and further behind. We're one game off what we should have been. That's how these players think about getting to match point.
Especially when you consider this lobby, kill-hungry teams like Aurora, Dark Zero, Disguise, teams that easily clean up that KP, that could find themselves in that 50-point threshold for match points. But it is about that dub, that consistency. As we take a look at the legend picks at the top, Bloodhound, of course, at that 95% threshold here too. Bangalore Caustic, I mean, this is the legend composition that we've seen basically all throughout the season.
It is. It seems to be even higher than we saw in previous stages of the tournament, though. A couple of fun ones coming through with Wraith. I mean, you know, still a couple of teams picking the lifeline as well. Aurora have stuck without throughout the tournament. I mean, I know a lot of people actually counted that out. They said, yeah, look, Lifeline's a bit fun. You can play it during Pro League, but when things come down to it during LAN, you know, they're going to blink. They're going to try something else. Maybe they'll go back to that Bang Blood Caustic like everyone else is in the meta, but Aurora have not. They stomped through some of the competition in group stage, and now they've finally made it into the finals.
Talk about nice timing on a rotation here as we take a look at Dark Zero. A team in the distance before Dark Zero took that zipline had taken an evac tower. So now with Dark Zero being here, they're going to be able to get some more information, not only from the survey beacon, but from the ring console as well. Great utility, but then you could also expect other teams that have been rotating away from Cedo omit going through the Vault Tunnel. There's also an Evil Harvester on the southwest side. Alliance, another team taking to the skies currently as they try to find where they want to situate themselves with the Caustic. This circle will be pulling by that checkpoint, choke point. And we know that through the trenches, a lot of these teams find themselves funneled outside of checkpoint where we see most of the chaos, whereas teams on that northern side leaving at a north pad will have a little bit of an easier rotation if they want to wrap around by the rocks.
I mean, the first game certainly had us leaning towards teams rotating hard and fast. I mean, you had VP as well as Cloud9 who start very southern. They were straight into pylon there and managed to really get quite a few placement points from that. So we're now seeing that from our teams on the north as, you know, for once we're getting the zones moving around a bit, Vicky, which we really are hoping to see today after, you know, a couple of trials in a row, getting a couple of Echo HQ zones in a row. It was very tough for teams on the other side at points throughout the LAN so far.
I mean, what else can you expect when the scriptwriters are waiting for this? As Fnatic on the high ground, beams with the Havoc, drops down, gets a crack originally on that conduit. Who could try it, providing some extra cover. They lose out on Nuka F. They try to get the fall, playing around the knockdown shield, but it's gonna be a 2v1. It looks like the Black Hole coming in. Even the Trident taxing along there to give them some extra cover. Trying to get in their back here as Leica now is gonna be able to finish off 07. Their lives short-lived for this game number 2.
I think that's the singular most unlucky black hole I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they were reloading when the black hole went in, right? That's actually super crucial because if you've got ammo, these pros are so locked in. You know, they've seen it a billion times now. They will always just crack it straight away, but the Trident actually blocking that off, nuts.
We saw this fight happen down in the kill feed here too, but Hockey's gonna look, he gets deleted to enemies, only one in Disguise have moved in. Huge nade from enemy with that Arc Star to finish the job. Now one left here from Alliance.
Just gonna have to turtle in here for the moment.
But there's so many other teams in the vicinity here. Well, the Fnatic might keep going on. Disguise get the finisher onto Alliance, the last straggler. Even the Wildlife want to get involved in that fight to try to third party, but around this area you still have Legends, Reject, Winity, LG, Dark Zero off to the side here. Disguiso are safer right now with these caustic traps. It could reset and get some extra meds if they need with those death boxes.
Yeah, look, the shots are going out, but it's all PvE at the moment. Disguise not too worried. All right. Shots fired from starboard and aft here as Fnatic are just charging down.
Oh man, they're chasing after 9 Impulse. Are you kidding me? He is hasta la vista for real, dipping as the solo.
Yeah, they actually dropped off, so there's the Aurora members completely in different postcodes right now. So you've got Hardeki over there in Cenote Caves, while his teammates still back in Barometer.
Fnatic breaking their necks and trying to find out where those last 2 members of Aurora are. Liquid now popping the Beast of the Hunt here. Yanya having to pop the shield bat though, but with the Beast of the Hunt letting him see right through not only those smokes, but even the caustic gas that was sent out. He was forced to drop down from the high ground, playing a little split up, only leaving him alive. It is Omit, the team that we were looking at as they made their rotate away from Cascade Falls, now going right through this checkpoint side. And no other team in the vicinity want to try to third party this unless LG on the low ground may want to take that zip line.
Yeah, no one else has really wanted to go through checkpoint. As you say, LG probably going to be trying to gatekeep those teams as they sit above checkpoint. Fnatic do start coming in on the southern side now, as we see just in the distance there. Coming directly underneath Omit. Sounds like they're in the Trident on that rotate. Okay, Omit. They got one up on Liquid. Can they do the same on Fnatic? They've completely surprised them.
Oh, but there you have the high ground here too. Even with the lifelike care package over to the side, I mean, they were not expecting them to maybe still be here. Lefka's still incredibly low here. They're gonna be able to avoid the Bangalore ult as the building is right behind them. While taking this fight though, they can then re-engage while looking at them from the height and get into a better angle.
Okay, so they have survived the initial onslaught, but they're still on the low ground.
And right behind them, by the way, it's going to be Liquid Alienware, who are slowly approaching checkpoint. Fnatic has to end this quickly, or they will be pinched.
Yeah, the solo creeping back in. Maybe he's hoping he can get the banners in all of this chaos. See the bang ults coming out now.
And on the other side of checkpoint, it is also C9 Fnatic. While they keep going with this fight, they jump down from the high ground right through that evac tower. Liquid get eliminated finally. Now another Bloodhound scanning comes in. C9 are right behind them. I mean, all this action from the southern side of the zone.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was just a coincidence. Fnatic wanted to disengage against Omit, or maybe they caught him on the scan as he was coming in underneath from the Bloodhound, and then just decided to grab the free kill. But in doing so, they have let Cloud9 onto the other side, and Omit probably aren't going to be super happy about this either, but they've still got time, Vicky. There's still probably another 4 or 5 minutes as they can stay in here for the next 2 zones for these teams to sort things out.
And while C9 have moved in, Fnatic say, all right, we're done with this here. They're going to start now rotating on the outskirts of checkpoint before finding themselves on that north side. C9 just waiting here in this building. Fnatic may be wondering, with this reposition, if they can try to go for the third party, trying to get this early KP if they can, as this is that second game. Any little points here count, as they had the biggest lead going into this match point format.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I've heard from players just over and over again this weekend is how they really needed to sort of get that first fight under their belt, that first win, to really start believing in themselves again and just relax a bit, I think, too. And Fnatic, obviously, not a great start to today, and I feel like those expectations almost reset on Sunday on match point finals.
We should inspect that area.
I definitely agree, especially with the pressure and having those 10 extra points. Teams like Kinotrop, a team that has definitely impressed me with the consistency of winning. Already getting that crack, you see that triple take as they do try to close in the gap. They were trying to contest them on this rotate, knowing that this team was going to start going in from that south side. But do they really want to commit here? 2 rats, 1 controller.
No.
With Uchaku having that red Evo though, the Beast of the Hunt activated from him. See if they can get that height.
He's got the hammers, but no Mozam. The grenades go a little bit too long as Kinotrope here try and get in a little bit closer to 2R1C.
Oh man, the bang ult though, controlling so much space. Missy gonna be able to get 2 knocks. backing away. Uchako gets a swing with the hit fire, but two get taken down. Kino Choke get eliminated, but this fight took too long.
They've taken way too long. Space Station gonna come in and clean this up. Zainu. This man has held a trophy before, and he is not scared.
Regardless, though, whichever team comes out on top as they try to chase down that straggler, so many other teams are already in that final circle. It's just a matter of time. Space Station get the crack, but they're gonna have to go a little far to get that one person who's trying to hide between the rods. Nowhere to hide, though.
No, the zone's just on the other side of that. It'll be extremely hard for 2R1C to survive a Bloodhound scan, and of course they don't. It's havoc after havoc coming in from SSG to finish that one off. Aurora,
Let's go that way.
the latest addition to Checkpoint.
With 3 KP here too, as we take a look at this map and where it's going to be pulling. LG have been settled here on this north side of Checkpoint, on that low ground that we know, in the crevice here. But we saw them rotate here incredibly early, and that also helps. I mean, they have the replicator right there too. But Legends Gaming looking at them on the inside.
Yeah, so look, you were on the money, Vicky, just north of the choke. That means everyone else from the north has to come in. We also saw Aurora down the bottom on the south side. They actually took out Fnatic. Meanwhile, Amit and Cloud9 in a staring contest still at Checkpoint.
You can't miss those, having to back away even though
those, so they're backing up.
Not
They
Moist
use
now.
their angle to push forward.
MT getting off angle. Getting shot from the other side, but they are getting stuck here by the edge. Let's jump into a listening with Moist to see what their next move is.
Out here. Get full armor. I'm breaking barrel.
Back
dude.
I'm
I'm selling. I had to eat that. I had to eat that. Someone hold. I'm nading the front door. I'm healing. We're just in. We can't force this here though. We are just in though.
After we're done with it.
We don't have to force this then. Yeah. I'm gonna pop it on
Yeah,
myself for
we're
cost
really
okay?
gonna win on
Yeah,
this.
take another one. Actually, hold on. Let me put a barrel down on the front. Alright, pop it on 6 seconds. There's a car going around.
Let's see. Let's see if they win.
Scan when you can. Scan the bloodhound. Scan them when you can. Scan them when you can. Scanning. There's one on roof. Look. I'm taking space. Slow. I got scan. I'm batting. I'm avoiding scan. Alright, back it up then. Back it up. Getting on roof.
So as you heard there, Moist coming, we're still in, just in. So they can play a bit of this bunker here. But other teams that have to start trying to make a move, Virtus Pro and Dark Zero, they came to blows at the end of game one. It's going to be a bit of an earlier fight this time.
And playing off that northwest side here, where neither of these teams are in that next circle once they see that and figure it out. But BP playing off the lip of this wall before they can try to see if they can see Dark Zero in vision. And even if Dark Zero want to fully commit to this, we know that Reject Winity are right behind them.
Reject Winity actually in a fantastic spot with where this next zone will pull.
Virtus Pro get the dub back to back.
On top of each other, you can see these two teams just trading barrels back and forth. Amit, we're actually looking to swing all the way around the outside here, up behind where we just saw Moist. They then decided against it and went back into Checkpoint. I think a very good choice, actually. It's almost like a 50-50. If they can beat Cloud9 in Checkpoint, they win and they just walk in down the hill.
But even if they do, they still have to go through the Titans or our LG who took out Space Station in the feed.
Okay, so we're going for the gas grenade here on top. That's it. They want to try and climb in, but you can see they're just watching it. They were hoping this gas grenade was going to push Serenity off the top. It doesn't. Jesko, the caustic, is still very much able to watch the climb. While he's doing that, there is no chance Moist can get up.
And that's huge here. That's the caustic matchup, and he drops down when they least expect it. The beam. Now the follow-up as they have the number advantage. They lose out on Legacy here, but it's going to be the two-man advantage here for Serenity for climbing up to find out where that other player is. The scan comes in finally.
Dark Zero are coming in off the back of this, though. You can see Serenity, sure, they got that first beam. They'll take out Moist. How prepared are they, though, for their countrymen?
As Gen comes in, swings with the kill leader title as well for this match so far. They're going to drop down into the high ground for right now as Gen gets a shield swap. Seeing that one player on the high ground here for Serenity, can he make miracles happen? I mean, this is DZ we are talking about. Reject Winity now moving in for the third party.
Dark Zero played this very well, though, but as they try and go for the death box, it's not smoked off. They take a big chunk of damage here. Gen, is there a shield swap available? They're just peppering him through the smoke. They know he can only be 1 or 2 bullets more. The zone pushes them towards them, and Dark Zero
Dark Zero fall. Whoa.
Huge too.
Did not expect that to happen.
The vision thanks to that Beast of the Hunt, and with this circle closing in, Gino, we know that C9 and Omit are in trouble as they exit out of checkpoint.
This fight has been brewing for the better part of 10 minutes now. They've had so much time to set up for it. But which one is going to come out on top? LG and Legends ahead of them, and Cloud9 will drop.
TSM also eliminating Aurora in your feeds. Lufka having that slight high ground, but it is Legends Gaming that have taken LG's spot. While LG have rotated on the outskirts, you can see the scan coming in. RC have now found Disguise who have that slight low ground. While maintaining the high ground, though, there's still so many teams in the air, but Reject Winity have the circle.
Reject Winity playing around that rock. This is such a killer spot for them to be in, especially with the Watson. They can start to set those fences up there, as you can see on the top of your screen. This will be crucial to blocking off a lot of this final zone. A lot of these other teams will probably just pile in.
TSM trying to see if they can capitalize, get some KP here. They're playing it really slow, trying to see if maybe they can capitalize this. Last 20 seconds before the zone starts closing, but they gotta be cautious of other teams that see them trying to pass, so we'll see how they play.
We know what Disguise is running with Design being on that Wraith. But they're going to take their time as the circle is going to be closing in the next 5 seconds here. They get the scan, they send out the arc stars, they can't ignore the team to their left. Oh no, that one Soul player. Behind the bin, they get the crack.
Well, it's only the 27 though, unless they can force him out completely, and the other team's going to do that.
Look at this overhead. Seeing everything from above, obviously. Caustic Barrel over to their left, but this is why it's so important to have this gold RE45 in Rep's hands.
No one really wants to peek their head out because Reject Winity is just going to bite it off. But Disguise looks like they've set up a portal. If they can find the right spot to take that, the right timing, maybe they can get on top of the APAC North team.
If they can make miracles happen, I mean, Legends, I mean, if it's not the barrels, if it's not the arc stars, they are literally pinned to the circle closing in.
We're about to see a couple teams fall here.
Got their eyes on it. If they're very
Zone's
smart,
closing, zone's closing. Omit looking to look it down at TSM.
Oh, but look at Omit's positioning
They
right
just
now.
get eliminated.
Gaming finally getting eliminated. Our last 4 remaining squads between
ESG eliminated.
TSM on the low ground and Omit on the high ground. Disguise get
Now it's down to
eliminated.
3.
TSM get
We have
that KP,
Omit,
and so does RC.
TSM.
Oh, for the second time in 2 games, we've got a Mexican standoff here. 3 teams taking their time.
RC.
The ultimates available to
What will
these
it come
teams
down
right
to? Let's
now,
see.
incredibly important. How much utility have they used, and how much have they
Let's see what
been
patience
able to
plays
keep
off.
for this last fight?
TSM on the low ground, but
Reject with the best position theoretically should have had the most.
see what RC
You can
pulls out.
see the bang-out was already being used by St. June.
I think they're gonna
I
swing
don't see
on
any ultimate
TSM.
accelerants being shuffled around, so it could just be
Omit looking to possibly push TSM. I think they're all going to try to grip TSM.
Does he have the Nox grenade? That could be massive. It's an open space. TSM still in that corner though.
But even if he had the Nox grenade here too, I mean, Krampe's
He's not
on
able to
that
get out.
Watson, so that gen could really come in clutch.
So he's just used it to try and smoke TSM. Can he fumigate them out of this corner? I
Final
don't
ring.
think he's quite managed to.
Final ring closing.
See if he can suffocate him here too. Still playing off that little lip.
Looks like they're trying
And
to
that
squeeze
scam is
TSM
closing
out.
in right behind him for this final round. They also have to look over to their left. Yes, we saw that Moby being called in, but that's for some extra cover for
TSM in a pinch. TSM in a pinch. Can they get out? I think they're going to get beamed on the way out. RC just staring down at them, and so is
Let's see if it's
the other team.
which line's going to come out on top this time. We did see there from Blasts. He didn't opt for the parabolic force, but he might have been hoping for it because a couple of long-range caustic barrels thrown in against TSM there could have been deadly. That said, they have to
TSM
stick
trying to
in
get
that
out. TSM
corner
trying to get out.
to
They
try
got
and
out there.
heal up a
They're out.
little
They're out.
bit
They're
while
out.
they weather these bang-olds coming down. They lose one along the way.
I mean, they found the crevice for right now.
Warhouse gets around.
They weren't gonna win in their
Warhouse
position,
knocked.
but they were pinned.
TSM out.
TSM get
RC gets the dub.
Reject winning.
RC did the clean.
Clean up shop, taking game number 2 on Storm Point.
Oh, the very solid 9 kills as well. It's a 21-point game there from Reject Winity. Adding that to a lot of those advanced standing points they have, they are now going to be head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. I mean, brilliantly played, right? From mid-game all the way until the end there, Vicky. They knew exactly the right time to push back against Dark Zero. Dark Zero obviously did a lot of the dirty work for them, getting rid of Serenity. And then once they'd done that, their back was clear. They only had to worry about the trenches in front of them. And as you saw, all those other teams were just... It was a war of attrition down there, and they were up on the rock, lording above the rest of this lobby.
Really comes into clutch here too, while Reject Winity going into this finals game have had a total of 4 wins. Make this the 5th one. Keeping that consistency, that would put them right below DZ with their 6 total wins going into this final day.
And you got to remember, you know, these guys didn't come through the elimination bracket, right? They were wins in all of the hardest groups, in the hardest bracket stage, in the winners bracket. None of those were given to them on a platter.
Guess it also helps when you land over by checkpoint and you made that quick rotate and you called it in advance here too, but it was about putting themselves in that position, not as early as we saw other teams like LG, who rotated north side of checkpoint within what? The end of that final circle. I mean, we know this because LG rotates really quickly, but teams like Reject Winity put themselves on the northern side, the north path side, so then make that rotate in, so that way they could not be involved in a lot of the fighting that really wouldn't allow you to get into cover in that final circle.
Yeah, and I think, you know, trying to highlight where they came from as well is important when you look at the fact that Reject, of course, started in checkpoint. Quick rotate for them nets them 21 points in game 2. Omit, very much nearby. They come from Cascades and get 16 points. TSM, honestly, the 12 points for them is actually, I would argue, more impressive considering they had to make it all the way over from Lightning Rod. I mean, you know, this POI that they've struggled to keep under their control for a very long time now, but finally here in the finals at LAN, at the Split 1 playoffs, they have it to themselves and they can play their own game. See you later, Red Rams.
Feeling a lot more comfortable here for TSM to breathe. Looking over on the other side, Fnatic, your team coming in with some extra points. Now finishing with 5 KP in that 15th place spot. A little difficult here in that second game, but remember, Gino, this is match point finals. After 2 games, we'll be transitioning into that next map. So, you know, finding that Storm Point stride and then moving over to World's Edge for that quick adjustment.
I mean, 07 can be happy that they won that contest, but it's a blessing and a curse, right? They don't necessarily get to play a very quick rotate style game, which honestly, when they've had the opportunity to do that, they've looked great. And they have been, you know, one of the most impressive teams in terms of, just their macro and how quickly they can get from A to B.
I actually want to look at a team comparison. Talking about TSM here, I want to look at the Reject v TSM, with TSM best place in the year being 3rd place. Reject coming in with those 12 placement points after taking that dub. It's huge here when Reject is also going into this final day with those 9 extra points before getting that dub.
Yeah, exactly. The Reject and Fnatic were both looking so good yesterday, and it's fantastic to see them continue some of that form here. TSM have made a half of themselves, right? Coming from losers in the elimination brackets. They start with 0 points, and they're going to have to claw their way up, but we know they can do it. They've done it before. I don't think they've ever done it with 0 advanced standing points, though, right? They really are starting from 0 this time.
I mean, it's the fact that we haven't seen a team win match point finals coming in from that elimination side. So it's so hard. That's why having these advanced points are so strong. As you can see right here, the series results, Reject Winity now lead the pack with 33 points, with Dark Zero right behind them, 22 points. But once again, Gino, looking at both these sides, with TSM being in that 11th place spot, we are going to make that transition shortly from one map to the other.
That's a big deal for some of these teams. Omit, I mean, you know, they're sitting there at 18. They will most likely be running into a contest with Kinatrope down at Tree on World's Edge. So, yeah, they're probably happy about the fact that they managed to accrue some points here on Storm Point. As they move across to the map that they will probably struggle a lot more on.
You know what I love Genome too? Aside from the crowd, we got some amazing, familiar faces out here in LA. It's been a good time. Shout out to Disguised Toast, Lily Pichu. What's good, guys? Welcome to the ALGS. 2 games down. Who knows how many to go in this match point finals? When we come back from this break, we got some World's Edge action for game number 3.
I mean, they found the premise, but right now they knew that they weren't going to win in their positioning because they were pinched. TSM get eliminated and Reject Winity clean up shop. The break is over. As we look over LA, the city of angels, where we get to crown a winner for this Split 1 playoffs. Take a look at these lovely fans sitting here in the Galen Center. And it's been a fantastic time here, Genome, after already 2 games down on Storm Points. Can't wait to see the action that waits for us here on World's Edge.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting hyped every morning as we walked into the venue and just looking at the crowd that was lining up, waiting to get in. The crowd that just couldn't wait for some high-level Apex. It's something you just don't get anywhere else, right? I mean, look, Pro League's great and all, but we know it's LAN where these guys come out to play and you see the best Apex you just don't see anywhere else.
Literally the best of the best from all around the world. That's what LAN
World's
does.
Edge,
It
match
brings
3.
the community
I'm gonna
together
shake some stuff
to
up.
hail one of these champions. As we move on once again to match number 3. For those of you guys just tuning in, this is match point finals. The first team to hit 50 points will be at match point. But to be crowned the victor, they have to take the win right after that. And we've seen a lot of these teams in this lobby, specifically Genome, that find more of that success story on World's Edge versus Storm Point.
Yep, some of these teams are definitely going to be looking towards one map or the other. I mean, you know, sometimes it just comes back down to where the circle pulls. Sometimes it comes down to whether a team decides to contest you or not. And that is something we're going to be seeing on both maps here today. Not a huge amount. 07, as you can see, they get Fragment to themselves now that we've switched over. Elevate, they've remember some struggles they had at certain points where teams got tired of being contested and said, hey, we're actually gonna ruffle you up off the drop ship and come into Epicenter and take that away, so they're just left with Survey Cam. Certainly something that these teams don't want. Aurora now playing from Skyhook East. They've had to give that up to Dark Zero, who play Trials, and Skyhook West, probably the best POI on this map right now.
And denying Aurora to get that gold knockdown too. Of course, with the Lifeline mid-season changes though, we know that they will be able to get that gold knock guaranteed off that care pack. But that's if you get that perk already downloaded, which we know that Skyhook most likely having that Evo Harvester, but a nice little flyby here with the Skies, of course, landing Thermal.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, you bring that up because, you know, they've often been getting 2 of the gold knocks, as we see some of the other teams picking Lifeline here. Which Fnatic was the other one, and 2R1C switching over to that as well. But yeah, having the double, you know, knocks is really good for multiple reasons, and one of them is just that it doesn't matter which way the team fight goes, anyone can get aggressive, and we know all of Aurora likes to get aggressive, and it just gives them options on those quick resets. And the thing is, Hardeki playing on that lifeline, usually you would say you need to be anchoring a bit more, you need to be holding back, but I mean, if you look at the data, Hardeki has been the one taking a lot of the brunt and not being able to bring people back up with that dock immediately. Look, it hasn't stopped them getting this far, but it certainly is a part of their game. I think they could definitely, you know, tweak a little bit just to get a bit better. I think if you put Oirain on that lifeline instead and switch those roles around, crazy to say it, but Aurora could be even better.
Considering that Oirain always also chips in with that co-IGL as well. I mean, the last thing you want in your games is to see your lifeline be the first one to go down. See how that's adjusted here as Space Station now made their appearance over Climatizer and Kinotrope being there.
There we go. We alluded to it before. E8, they've lost Epicenter again. This time it goes over to Kinotrope Gaming. They intimated that they were going to land a tree and contest a mid, but instead they force Elevate away to try and take Survey Camp, and then as you can see, the northern tunnels as well. I'd love to know if Aurora perhaps were looking to loot northern tunnels, whether that's caused a bit of a knock-on effect over there in that north side of the map. Either way, Elevate have once again had their loot cut in half.
And Kinotrope, even though they are landing in Epi, they don't have to force out that 50-50 with a bit of lackluster loot that we know it as in Epi, but they are circle blessed for now on that north side, so they'll have a bit of an easy rotation.
Virtus Pro, another team, is going to have a relatively easy rotation here. They might even just opt to stay within Fragment, actually, with this zone looking like there's a chance it comes back to Fragment, but maybe it could go to Overlook as well. This one, central World's Edge zones, actually quite hard to call. So where these teams decide to play is very much going to be up to how much they're trusting the calls of that IGL in this one.
I mean, let's recap similar circles that we have seen throughout the weekend. In a similar circle like this, we've seen it pull over to the bins on that eastern side of Fragment, even on that bit of a lip that we saw Fnatic pop off on earlier on 207, making actually a very similar rotation that I was just referring to. Are already going to be able to get onto the high ground, but you see the pings, you see another team in the distance also taking the balloon.
It's a tough spot to rotate through, though. We keep pointing out how flat, barren, open this particular area of the map is. You might want to set up here early, right? Like, even if you were saying, this exact spot that I'm standing on is where the zone is going to end, that doesn't mean you necessarily want to play from there, because you're just so exposed to so many other teams that will be coming in and around.
Saw it play a factor in that previous game. TSM with the scan, seeing another team over by No Name. I believe that could be Virtus Pro, who are forced back underneath that slight broken bridge. Yeah, it is. Virtus Pro now find themselves in this building, but we know that in a circle like this, it could pull way outside of Fragment East, and all these teams just fall.
This tunnel seems to be like the #1 spot for creeping around. But it's kind of tough at the moment because everyone's got a Bloodhound, and by the time you sort of crawled your way up half the staircase, boom, they are continually scanning their back. And I guess the other thing that... Oh, Sharky!
Whoa.
Gets a kill onto Strafing Flame. It looks like they were trying to set up a rotate, perhaps?
I mean, catching him off guard, going up that evac tower right in front of them. Served on a silver platter as VP now going to be able to capitalize off that easy KP.
Unless it was maybe just a distraction that Strafing Flame pulled as he was trying to get away. Kind of hard to tell. Sure, someone will go back through the VODs and give us the exact comms one day, but for now we'll just have to wonder. Legends Gaming down to 2.
Oh, and Elevate
Oh.
also down to 2. Zap, the last one alive, dropping down with the Beast of the Hunt. Trying to take some shots, but they're not alone here. With 07 wrapping around
Zap
Elevate,
eliminated,
get
or
eliminated.
yeah,
Another kill
eliminated
on the
again.
board for 07, but this is the team that we saw wrapping up behind them. Fnatic, the nail in the coffin for this fight. And this is the same exact zone that they felt so comfortable in when we saw them play yesterday.
Fourth place with 20 points, a lot of them from yesterday. I mean, yeah, it's a hard place to play from. You can see the teams that got here early were not necessarily rewarded for that. Your team fighting abilities will come into question every single time you play that zone. So Dark Zero, they're looking on the back of Aurora here on the edge of the circle. Let's see if they're thinking about taking this fight or perhaps going a little deeper into the zone.
I gotta get Juicy first. Giant tunnel. I sold them. I just sold them. They might be doing a wrap for Epi as well.
Yeah, for bridge.
Set on roof sacks. Want me to go?
Yeah, well,
okay. Someone just rezzed in Monument.
I think it's crazy because some of these teams, they just need one good game. This game,
Really wanted
or next,
Epi,
to get them a match point.
I'm sorry about.
Snazzy, as Voltor would say. As on a goose.
Dark Zero to hold it.
Don't see anyone. Can maybe get Monument console. There's a Juice next to it as well.
Okay, so they force Aurora all the way into the zone. And Dark Zero will be just sitting over there by themselves for the moment, waiting to see
Legends
where
Gaming
the
got the
next
full
circle
reset.
goes. Meanwhile, lots of fighting over here in both Fragment and in Monument.
A little bit of a whiplash here. I mean, the last team that wants to get jumped and creep walked on is Omit, because they're actually one of the teams that don't have a Bloodhound, so they don't have that scan with the Conduit instead, because we know that they were maybe expecting that 50-50 from happening.
So they've run the contest composition, but then they haven't had the contest, and that's going to be hurting them towards the end of the game. It'll be fascinating. We'll have to keep our eye on them and their composition for the second game of World's Edge. It's almost like a
07
bit of
and
a
Elevate
poker read
Gaming.
at that point,
The
right?
other one's gone.
Do you play the composition you want to play out the game in? Because you have to pick it before you get into the dropship. It's a really tough decision for them.
TSM's
Will
also in the
Tina
bad
go
spot.
Epi again?
And also, by the way, loading into these games, these teams could see those compositions. That's actually something that I found out from Alliance themselves when they jumped disguise.
They try sometimes, but you can fool them as well, right? Because you set your composition, they can have a look at that, but they can't determine if you change that once you get to the Legend Select screen. It's a tricky thing.
Mind games always started before the lobby even starts itself here. Omit, middle of this rotate, had used the Radiant Transfer. They're looking at Legends who are still inside of Fragment. More of these teams like Moist, right alongside Liquid.
Yeah, so Moist are in the tunnel now, but we've got Cloud9 holding the upper entrance. If Moist decide to go that way, they could be in trouble. We've seen so many teams. Doesn't matter how good you are. As soon as you try and take that fight, they'll delay, there'll be caustic barrels, and in the meantime, all of those shots will attract attention from Geyser. So Liquid on the backside could spell death for Moist, unless they try and go out the left entrance, in which case they might be okay. In the meantime, DZ have moved up and gone all the way above Fnatic.
Little tight on that rotate there too for the teams that have to rotate on that south side now with less than 10 seconds on the clock before that circle closes in. But DZ holding this position is beautiful. We heard their comms earlier. They wanted to rotate through Epi side so that way they could have the high ground advantage. But after this, do they want to commit to the zip line? Do they want to wrap around? We see RC right below them here. Fnatic on the other side that have not given up those bins high ground that overlooks the action that could happen over by Fragment.
Yes, I'm holding this card.
Town, 2R1C. They've surprised quite a few people in this tournament as well. And just going through the teams that we've got here in our final lobby, I think not a huge amount of people would have predicted Serenity. And certainly, I don't think would have predicted 2R1C walking into the finals with those 6 advanced standing points.
Love being able to see teams make moves like that. Just like we see Disguise now, taking that design portal, Scared
Wait,
coming in, trying to make moves
low?
themselves. Timmy does have that beast of the hunt, but they see that this team is on the high ground. How to engage here? You see more of these teams congregate in this northern part because there's not only an Evil Harvester, but a Ring Console there too. Aurora is right alongside them. And Nine Impulse taking a split angle, holding this height while also keeping Hardeki in his line of sight.
So sure, Aurora took their time to get in, but they have done it in a way that's allowed Hardeki to get up to red armor. Of course, that's the guaranteed Evo cache that comes through the gift wrapped package. And as long as they've managed to get here with a decent amount of meds, which as you can see, they do have.
I think a lot of teams are trying to play more.
Okay for now. Disguised, the only team
More slower.
playing that Wraith.
They know as soon as they engage and get a knock and go for it, that another team pulled up. So.
Finally getting out and actually rotating on the outskirts from that geyser tunnel. They didn't want to get stuck there. As now they're going to be able to see this team that's right across from them. We know that there was like, what, 2 teams that have rotated from Fragment side. Omit, VP, Legends Gaming, and on the edge, it's Alliance. Love this overview so that way you guys could see how many squads are
we still have
trying to play
18
safe by the
squads.
side. Aurora even trying to see if they could gatekeep Disguise on that rotate.
Yeah, you can see Not Moist have had to come all the way from the zone underneath there, and that zone, I can tell you, is pulling towards that right side above Overlord.
And since they're coming out of the circle, guess who they are right behind? It is Liquid. As they had started to engage initially, they had popped the Beast of the Hunt over by No Name. It is 2 Rats on Controller neighboring them in that building, while TSM on the north side by the fence line here of No Name are also wanting to get involved. C9 finally rotating out of that tunnel side that exits from Geyser. But while more of these squads take their time, we have 5 to 6 teams here that are going to come in from the south.
You can see MT 20 seconds until he gets his next smoke back. Obviously, with the recent nerfs, Bangalore, the rotational utility is worse than ever. How are they going to get out of this one? They've got a bang ult. Let's see how they use that and listen in to the comms.
15 seconds.
I'm ready when you are. Clicking. It's not great, but you don't have to do. They're under there.
I'm dogging. I got a bat, I got a bat, I got a bat. I'm batting.
I'm batting as well.
Horizon queuing up. She threw it, she threw shit out. Break all. Cross empty if you can.
Yeah, this one left.
Nice.
That's it again. I'm gonna jump out of the team. I need to stop it.
Horizon.
Stop it. I have to go under tracks. I have to go under tracks. I'm gonna die.
That's a team.
I'm dead.
You best to live.
The Evil Shield is empty. He cannot swap as Waltzy is the last one alive from Not Moist, and Omit are trying to race him on the other side of the circle, while VP also make their move. With the smoke, they close in the distance. They're trying to climb up the little lip of the mountain, but they know that there's still a player right behind them. Can Waltzy get out?
It's not a fantastic spot for VP, but luckily for them, there were 4 or 5 squads just holding
Team's
each
fighting.
other in at the back of Fragment.
Oh, but with VP now engaging on the fight, in trouble. Waltzy can get away from trouble here too. That is Liquid.
Let's swipe.
On the other side, while
Let's
Waltzy
swap.
steals a kill away. 18 squads left, and Pricey's the last one alive for Virtus Pro.
Oh, stunned, reloads at the wrong time. And VP just trying to live on that lip. It was as we called out, a late rotate and getting hemmed in by the other squads coming out of Fragment. It's going to be a second game for VP.
Legends Gaming just fully sent it on Waltzy too, by the way, as you can see in your feed. Moist get eliminated with Reject Winity not giving up this spot here.
If they have board, they need to use it. Otherwise, she's dead here.
Hemlock, weapon of choice for so many pros at the moment. You can see why at mid to long range is incredibly effective. And unlike a lot of the other weapons that are good, a lot of marksmen's in that range, it doesn't actually fall off that hard at short range. That's one of the big reasons why pros are using it at the moment. And I think unlike in the flatline meta, you're also not having to burn an entire clip at a time.
2 Rats controller.
Comes in clutch here, as you can see, Strafing Flame now moving in, and Omit getting eliminated. Look at all those death boxes at Legends' feet. Be able to loot up to par with 11 squads left, but as they do rotate from that south side, LG are looking at them in the distance. C9 sharing some of that space, but LG are going to be playing up the low ground while C9 are on that high ground closer to that replicator. Evac towers called in, while RC coming from the high ground, but this circle is completely shifting towards the
Wow.
rocks.
Wow.
Shots here with the 30-30.
RC came to win.
Move onto Alliance as they try to evacuate, but they're eviscerated instead.
Where are you going? Dark Zero getting involved in a fight. Well, Fnatic, neighboring disguise, design in the lava is going to be able to queue away into safety. Wrapping long. And trying to avoid them in their line of sight while holding this mountain, knowing that there's other teams on the other side of the tracks. Aurora playing off the low ground. Space Station, probably the best spot in this final circle.
He's just trying to see if they can swing in.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Oh,
But Aurora
so
are
much fun.
creeping on the back of them, as you can see to the right.
They made a draw. Paul.
Disguised, struggling. I mean, is a portal really as good as Smokes and a Rolling Thunder? It doesn't
no
seem
team
so.
foul.
Every time that Disguise try and make a move, it feels like they really could use that cover.
Dark Zero trying to see if they can
At least
pop up.
design stays alive. Aurora, a duo on the north side, right next to Space Station. Dark Zero clean up that last player from Legends Gaming here. Another top finish for Dark Zero, sitting in second place with 27 points.
Dark Zero have a little bit of space to themselves. It's LG and Cloud9 nearby. Serenity down in the bottom, you can see Fnatic do not have a lot of space to play with. As soon as they come out, you can bet that Jesco is going to be pulling the pin on the Nox grenade. SSG, as we talked about, in a fantastic spot up a little higher, but they have actually lost zone in the next ring. They're split holding at the moment, trying to put pressure on both Cloud9 and Aurora. DZ go up high. They've already done some initial damage onto Cloud9.
You see the bang will be called into. Huge shot from sides here. Doesn't have the turbo on that Havoc. Shooting through the dark of those smokes. You see the nades coming out. And trying to get out of fray while trying to wrap around this mountain here too. But so many nades hurling in their direction. It's going to be C9 that had that slight high ground. And C9 with the blue evil shields working at a disadvantage. They get the crack, but Fnatic get eliminated in your feeds. And Zero wants to capitalize off of this with DC. Solo with only Jen really holding it down as the anchor.
It's all up to him. The others have been forced back, forced into zone. Sykes now with the Havoc has to come back and clutch this up, but he's not. He's going to go into zone. A bang ult saves Cloud9.
And the circle! It be your own sometimes as the circle closed in right behind his back when he was literally one shot in terms of his health. And now Chaotic Much, the last one alive from C9, and he's getting pressured out by Space Station.
Oh. Cloud9 dead.
Dark Zero tried to wait that out, but I think they really just had to push through and push right then with the bangle plus the grenades. It was the end of that for them, but unfortunately also the end for Cloud9. SSG have moved down here, and that's Aurora, I believe. They're peeking their heads out over at. You've got Serenity and LG still alive as well, but it's a lot of difference in elevation between these final spots.
Even going to be bigger here with our last four remaining teams: Aurora, Space Station, LG, Serenity. But a big thing I'm looking at, Genome, is going to be Aurora with that lifeline. What can it do in a circle like this? Will LG stuck in the middle, calling in a Moby for some cover? Serenity just mounting, go climbing on the other side of the mountain. But LG are just pinched in a pretty tough spot. And while Serenity are on the edge, let's jump into a listening with Serenity.
Fuck it. Fuck it up. Yeah.
Is that team on the other side?
Yeah, we need, just look at it. Expect the blue container guy. He's gonna beam us.
Yeah.
Fuck, I slid.
I'm going now.
Yeah, go. They broke it. That's fine. We can play slow. These guys on the rough.
I have bang on now.
We might need to slide to the... Do you think the other side of that and then shoot left?
Making contact with enemy.
Yeah.
Do you have full scope?
No.
Well, he's taken over the reins here in Serenity. Obviously playing for Blackhand last year. Now he is the IGL and he has this team's fate in his hands. He's been doing a damn good job with it so far.
They called in the bangle early here too, Genome.
Yeah, I think it's going to cost them.
Ultimates for all of those teams coming out. A truce is called.
With Frex having the high ground though and having the blue evil shield, Space Station have been here all
SSG is going to clean up.
Get the knock, but they obviously can't get the finish here, not giving up this high ground as Zainu putting in some extra pressure, but they want this KP here with 3 squads left. Serenity get eliminated. LG right below them.
Aurora, the only team without a caustic. That's one of the reasons why they can't push up that high ground towards SSG. The other is they can just poke their heads out and destroy you at any time. LG, however, has the wingman. If there's one thing that can change their fortune, maybe that gun is it. The final 3v3.
LG have been popping off here. 4 kills going in favor for Funk. The circle's closing in right behind them. See the ult getting called in here too, but the Nox grenade in Frex's hands, ready to go. See if LG could test them here on this opening. They drop down, knowing to fully swing it onto them. The trade though, as Zyno gets a knock onto Slayer. Frex is the last one alive. He gets a knock afterwards, and
LG wins.
From the
No way.
wait for Space Station to hail over them for free. That has now elevated LG to 2nd place overall. As the odds were against them, they are here to show up in this finals lobby.
Intense end zone there from LG. 10 kills to their name. A smile comes out from Sweet. It really felt like that game was in SSG's hands. I can't lie, Vicky. The drop down. One of the big reasons we're seeing Havoc so much right now is because of how much damage per mag it has. You saw the drop down. We got 1 clip and still half a mag going into the 2nd member of LG. At that point, the fight should have been over. But it seemed like LG, instead of coming at them from the other side, they try and fight it from the zone, the surprise attack. It worked for 1, but they started taking too much zone damage, and then it was just an incredible turnaround.
Hand in hand with LG also having that Nox grenade gas ready to go for that final circle, some extra pressure for them to work with here. A team going into this final lobby with 0 advanced points, now elevating themselves after 3 games alone. Huge plays here for Luminosity. But after those 3 games here, Gino, I want to see what the desk has to say, because there's a lot to break down after those games.
I'm sure many fans in the building, fans watching at home, are saying it's about time. Luminosity Gaming, Slayer, Funk, and of course, Sweet Dreams grab the win over SSG and catapult themselves into the top of the leaderboards. What a moment that was, and what a story it would be for those watching at home. LG's run through the elimination bracket, if they were to win, they would be the first team to win a match point finals and take home a trophy from the elimination bracket. It has never been done in Apex Esports before, Lauren, and that's a great sign for LG fans across the world.
Yeah, and we were just talking about it when we were watching those final moments there, Rain. We've been waiting for LG to kind of wake up. We know the types of performances that they can have, and that was a fight where they showed why they're now in our match point finals, and they always have.
And that's the thing, you know, when you look at it, Tiff, you have a player that we've highlighted so much in our content in our last year in Sweet Dreams, has the process of getting off of NRG, trying to reassemble that squad. Gildersons finds his place, and now he's trying to create a new legacy. And you know what, in a weird way, this may be the perfect fit for him and the perfect fresh start.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think Sweet, Slayer, and Funk are a really interesting team. Now, when you think about historical performances when it came to when this team was Sweet was under NRG, right? They had to approach the entire regular season last year and completely reassess their macro. And then you just have another roster swap. You implode. You take essentially the core part of that team away and leave the heart, which is the brains of the operation at this point for LG. And they pair it with 2 people who are inexperienced on land. This is their first time getting on this stage. And I honestly think that running through the elimination round 2 bracket and just barely scraping by allowed them to get more reps in. And it's, of course, no surprise to me that they're finally waking up here. They were in 15th place coming into map number 3. And now they're in the top 5.
Massive game, and that will tell in the results as well. As you bring them up on your screen, we could see that one big game can change the course of a tournament. LG with 10 kills and a first place finish, earning 12 points, will equal 22 total points in that one. Bump themselves up from 15th all the way to, I think, near first place. SSG, nothing to slouch at though. And Fnatic, a big kill game, though not great placement, just out inside the top 10. one of our favorites to win it all. As we look at the back half of this DIA as well, not everybody has a great game in Game 3 as well. Our 10 through 20 teams, they'll have a chance to go back at it as we continue on World's Edge in Game 4.
It is the reality of our first map swap. A lot of teams already had a lot of nerves coming into the day. You only get 2 games on Storm Point before being, for many of them, completely destabilized moving into World's Edge. Getting into a rhythm is arguably the hardest part of our match point finals because they happen so quickly. The pace of the, not games necessarily, but certainly the pace of the day is very high.
And if you're used to that pace as well, I think sometimes, to what you had said, Tiff, going through the elimination bracket helps you to keep the awareness of, like, everything is do or die. When you're in the winners, you know you have a second chance. When you're fighting for the winners, you know you're already in a good position in groups, so you're probably going to make it. But through the elimination bracket, you get to this point where you're like, if I don't do it now, I could be out. And that does help in a race to the finish match point finals.
It 100% does, and you're very spot on with what you were saying. I was speaking to a couple of the coaches prior coming into this, and I'll go ahead and shout it out right now. Alliance, during their run, they had to take a side and just say, guys, we're only a mere 7 points outside. Lock it in, let's do it. And now I'm looking at them on the bottom half of this leaderboard, and it's not over just yet. If there's one thing that we've learned when it comes to LAN, when it comes to match point finals, TSM did it in a back-to-back-to-back, which means nothing is out of the ordinary. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, but at the end of the day, I know fans, I know people watching at home. I mean, even us, I'm skeptical to think that it can happen again. We're waiting to be proven. You have to have a little bit of hope, a little bit of faith, and maybe not see, but still believe. We'll see if that happens for Alliance, sitting now with 5 points. Definitely going to have to pick it up. But as we take a look at our past 3 games, a lot of action went by and transpired. Glitter, Game 1 got us off to the races.
Yeah, and this was a fun one to kind of kick everything off here because right out the bat, we did get a contest between Elevate and 07 that kind of just evolved into more chaos with 2 R1C joining it. But then when we make our way all the way to the end, it was entirely within VP's hands. When we looked at that top down, they had the best position. They knew DZ was across the way. And Cloud9 had to push in out of the building. And I honestly thought maybe Cloud9 would suffer making that move in. They received 0 punishment for it because at the same time they moved, DZ tried to wrap up and see if they could maybe annoy VP a little bit, maybe pick off a player before they had to deal with the potential third party that could have been Cloud9. It did not go the way of DZ. Virtus.pro was able to clear them out. And then honestly, at that point, they were just able to slide down and clean up Cloud9. And to Cloud9's credit, they were also poking DZ in their sides as well. So DZ just ended up being sandwiched between these 2 squads. Not a whole lot that they could do about it. But this was a really strong performance from Virtus.pro to kick off the day.
You know, Chaotic Much, Saucer, Stay Naughty, great performance from Cloud9. I'm glad you mentioned them. They are showing up today as well. But Game 2, it would be all about the teams that I think. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, you were going to take that one, Tiff. I think.
Yeah, I want to
Game 2.
talk this.
Walk us through Reject Winity here.
Immediately when I saw the majority of the happenings that occurred prior to this, a lot of our teams got caught in the checkpoint. For the teams that made their way out of that and into Northpad, Reject Winity controlled a large majority of the space, specifically around this rock. And then you have the opposing teams that were over on the other side, TSM including one of them, or they're just getting stuck with the ring at their back. Reject Winity asserted their dominance and walked into one of the most nicely cleaned up matches. TSM and Omid are just vying, trying to do whatever they can, playing for second, wrap up some KP, and Reject just had to clean it up.
And that's a beautiful thing because Reject Winity are one of our favorites. They're one of the teams we talked about, and they have certainly shown up today, one of the top contenders. But Tia, Game 3 would see the revival of LG.
That is certainly would, and really in a really fascinating turn of events, Rain Day. This is the first time that we are seeing in the match point finals a team that is not in the same quadrant of the map, or rather that doesn't land in the same quadrant of the map, still win it all. LG, coming all the way from Fisher, had to make their way and contest against SSG, who we've already seen take games, or rather take really high placements when they're over by Climatizer. This was a good start for SSG. And honestly, the difference between an SSG win and an LG win here is absolutely mechanics. It's one of the most exciting parts of Apex Legends. You can set all the right things up in your play. Phony actually makes an excellent slide to open things up for the rest of his team to follow up and take out LG. But at the end of the day, Funk and Slayer are just able to clutch up in ways that you cannot always account for strategically.
And at the end of the day, a wingman in your hand is going to make it very, very easy to win some fights, especially close ones. So LG get the job done. SSG second place, though, they'll be happy with that. More games to come here in our match point finals, but guess what? More games to come in the ALGS. We might be ending Split 1 today, but right in front of us is the beginning of Split 2. It kicks off June 1st, so if you're excited about more ALGS action, trust me, Year 4 has a lot in store. Stay tuned. We'll get back at it after a nice little breather, a little rest, maybe some travel, maybe some time with family for all these players, and certainly us casters and talent as well. It's going to be a fun one. And Lauren, as always, these splits, they contain stories in themselves. They kind of set these benchmarks of the year as we look towards champs, obviously, to round us out.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a really fun split too, because you saw on the graphic there, Alter potentially coming in. Will that affect how the split 2 plays out? Will she end up being a new integral legend to those comps?
Well, speaking of stories in our league, there's also a lot of other people with stories in the venue today. I hear We the People is standing by.
Rain Day, thank you so much, Rain Day. So we are here. This is a special moment that we are going to share because I have a very special member of the community right here. All right, so Apex is more than a game. All right, it truly is a community. So for myself and the rest of the Apex community and the ALGS team, we want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
What do you want to say to the crowd right now?
What'd you say?
What do you want to say to the crowd right now?
Oh, guys, listen, man. I'm so thankful for the platform that I have. You know, 5 years ago, I was so crazy. 5 years ago, I was a personal trainer in New York City, and now we're here doing this. Still have a voice here for Championship Sunday. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for changing my life. Thank you to my family for supporting me. But seriously, without you guys, I am nothing. So thank you so much. I love y'all, man. Love you so much.
So here's the thing. We are not the only ones that want to say happy birthday today. We have Mama Wig walking over with a birthday cake.
That's so wholesome.
Make a wish.
Oh. Thank y'all, man.
That's so cool. Shout out to his mom. Her birthday next week.
It isn't just one birthday that we are celebrating here as part of the ALGS community. We got another special guest across the way right there. Gaskin, take it away.
Not just one birthday, we also have another. It's also Mark Onset Hatcher's birthday today. So everyone, a big happy birthday to one of the greatest people in my life. Here's a party hat for you, Mark. And of course, a nice cake as well. And look at the top of that. Wow. It's a particularly interesting cake. Now, everyone, if you wouldn't mind doing it again, I know we've already sang it once, but maybe we can sing it to both of them together. Happy birthday, dear Onset. Happy birthday to you. Wow. And there we have it. And he will eat every single piece of that cake, as will I. Thank you so much, everyone. And wow, here we go. We've still got more matches of Apex Legends. Mark, sorry to do that to you. I know you hated every single moment of it.
It was great. Thank you, everybody. Happy birthday, Wig, as well. Amazing to share it with such an incredible person, but I think it's time for us to turn attention maybe back to business here because we've got a lot of things to talk about. Dan, and of course, Match Point Finals is going to continue.
Yes, and we are starting to near match point for some of these squads as well. We're just teetering towards it. No big kind of massive games as of yet. No one really throwing themselves down. You wouldn't expect it to happen in a lobby like this. It's just teams getting a victory, a few kills alongside it. But are we now going to start to see those teams being consistent and find themselves on that 50-point total.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of teams starting to get within striking distance now, you would say. You're looking at the likes of Reject Winity, LG after that win, of course, in the last game. Serenity are kind of there or thereabouts as well, but it doesn't feel like, unless it's a big win for one of those teams, that we will find ourselves with one of those teams on match point. World's Edge is going to be where we go next. We're staying on World's Edge for this next game, and it's still an opportunity for any of the teams with a win down to put themselves in that little group that we've talked about.
Yeah, there are a lot of teams, or the majority of this lobby have found wins throughout the group stages or through the bracket stage. We still have a few teams who have yet to find a victory. Aurora, SSG, and of course we had Not Moist yet to get a victory. That changed for LG though. In that previous game, they got their first dub on the board, and what a one to get as well, really to change their fortunes going into this grand final. But can they make it more? Can they get another one, or at least get close to it with some points so they can get closer to that threshold?
Well, I think one thing to notice as well with the lobby and the way that it's gone, the win hasn't kind of catapulted a team in towards the match point potential, right? It hasn't put them towards that 50 points, where the rest of the lobby is kind of looking at it and going, oh, you know, we've got a long, long way to go. Everybody's been scrapping points. Nobody's really had a bad game, so to speak, across the few. There's been enough points picked up by the majority of our teams to know that if they get into a position to win a game, they will become part of that group that could well hit match point first. Well, the birthday celebrations will continue later, but we've got a lot more Apex Legends to get going in front of us. World's Edge, we continue with our match point finals.
Yeah, somehow we still saw the likes of 07 and Elevate eliminated first on World's Edge, despite the fact they weren't being contested. But now we are going to get to witness just more greatness. What an amazing couple of matches, sorry, few matches we've had so far. And it just has me scratching my head. The fact that we are still not at any teams on match point, how far will we go today? Or will this be the match where finally someone reaches that 50-point threshold? You can see LG dropping in 32 points at the moment. Reject Winity are on 36, so they're not far off.
One thing that's very important, I think, to note about that last performance that we saw from LG, and it's the unquantifiable thing that you're looking for in a team and you're looking for in a player, right? When it comes to those clutch moments, a 1v1, a 2v1, whatever it is, if you can find a way to win those moments, they can be the difference when it comes to those tournament-winning moments. LG just showed that in that clutch moment, they found a little bit of magic. They were able to find the kills that they needed to survive and close that game out. Now, speaking of LG, speaking of zones, by the way, LG are going to be very happy with where we're going to find ourselves going here.
Yeah, as soon as LG hit that ring console, they're going to be rubbing their hands together, because this is a zone where they're going to have a lot of priority to, but as are Reject Winity. And you can see they've had ring console information, so they're going to be able to move very quickly, depending on where they think this one is going to go. Legends Gaming down at Landslide, also going to be pretty delighted. But the fact that our top two teams here in Reject and LG, both with prior to zone, means that we may get one of them on match point if they can find a victory here.
It's an interesting zone, though. You're looking at it, right? And I think a lot of information is, of course, going to be garnered a little bit later on when we've seen that Zone 3 info. But you're kind of thinking, if it does pull towards Landslide, there's not the biggest amount of cover to play. There's not kind of stacked up POIs with different rooms and different buildings that you can get into early here and play for that long game. So when you're looking at zones, you're looking at what zone you would want prio for. This one's a little bit more difficult to judge how you approach it because of the lack of playable area. So I'm kind of fascinated to see how the likes of Reject Winity, LG, Legends Gaming, who have good prio to this zone, actually approach things.
Yeah, how much studying have you been put into it? Where do you think this circle is going to be going? And how much do you trust your idea with their commitment to said practice and research? Fnatic are making their way through just behind Legends Gaming at the moment. So Legends, despite dropping at Landslide, they're not going to have to move too far. But the downside to dropping somewhere where the zone's going to be coming, you're going to get a lot of neighbors very soon. And they haven't been able to get up even to blues as of yet. So if someone was to drop nearby or push up, as Fnatic were previously, and they might find themselves in a difficult spot. But Fnatic have been able to get past them here into staging, and it looks like they're going to be happily residing there for now.
Well, a little bit of a battle happening outside of Monument right now, and shooting through the smoke is going to be Zach Mazer. It's going to be enough to force 07 to retreat, and Understandably so. This is not a fight you want to take at this point with the extreme elevation difference between these two teams. Elevator have been quiet so far. I have to say, a little bit surprisingly, after what was a very impressive performance from them yesterday.
Well, I mean, the fact they're contested against 07, it's to be expected they're going to be a little bit more difficult on Storm Point, but here on World's Edge, it's a different story. 07 on the back foot slightly. Let's jump into a listen and see how they navigate this.
They want to fight. Look on bomb floor. I'm swinging out right door, I'm swinging out right door. They close to go to me, I'm back. I'm with that feet, I'm with that feet. Two right side. Naski, look where I'm playing, I'm going further out. Scan, what do you have, scan? Scanning two. One above. They're close. Oh, look where they are. Yeah. Kill, bang. Back one. There's one. Don't have a swap. Stop telling us, man.
Well, the story continues between these two teams, and Naski is stretching all over those death boxes.
Every single time, it's 07 versus Elevate, and 07 have had the upper hand several times now. But can they get to the late game is my question, because it's Kinatrope Gaming here to quickly ruin the party. Thankfully, they didn't ruin your birthday party yet on set, but sadly for 07, they now need to think about how they get out of this mess.
I mean, you can look back on this situation and think maybe we might have taken those 2 seconds to reset the fight, get our shields nice and charged up before we got third party. So 07 gonna look back at that, and I have to say as well that my ears are still ringing from some of those noises that I just heard coming out of their mouths, but they're gonna be a bit disappointed that they're finding themselves having to play this as a 2.
You can see Aurora, they're just going to be moving on the northern side. They would have heard these shots coming out from Kinatrope, but decided that they can actually get into a position maybe with the possibility of holding out teams here rather than forcing themselves into zone. Because if you do hear commotion in Monument, all you have to do is sit up on that hillside and you should be able to pick off the pieces of those who arrive a little bit later. Speaking of later, there's going to be a few teams who are still making their way through, TSM being one of them. They're going to be on the southern side of staging, just thinking about going through that vault. But it's such a dangerous push to make through vault, right? The ambushes we've seen historically through that tunnel time and time again.
Well, one thing they do have, of course, is Verhulst on the core stick, so they'll be able to get some barrels down and slow down any potential fights that do take place here. And as they walk up to the vault tunnel, there's always that moment of like, okay, is there going to be anyone here? Are we going to catch some barrels ourselves, or are we going to be able to scan and make sure that nobody is running inside of it? We should be able to play that for the late game. It's an interesting one, right? We're looking at our map overhead right now, and it feels like a lot of teams aren't wanting to bank on what side of the zone it's going to go to. There's a lot of teams kind of festering in and around the edge of the zone at the moment. There's only kind of 2 or 3 in the center.
And this is why it could be important for a team like LG, who are on that western side. They're going to have ring console still at Lava Fisher, so they'll be able to get the information of Zone 3 once this round 1 closes in 20 seconds. They just need to kind of hold everyone back and not get pushed in the meantime, but they should be fine.
We might be able to see a little bit of a Mia on a Mia action right now, as Alliance will be taking on T-Rats 1 controller, who are trying to escape, but the Bangalore smoke should give them enough cover to do so. Alliance, again, a little bit of a slow start for them, but it's what we expect from Alliance in these finals. We see them have these slow starts and then start to pick up momentum historically as the game starts to roll through. And 2R1C, speaking of rolling through, they're rolling through the zone right now. Alliance, though, it's interesting to look at it, right? It just seems like it's always the same story. They will have one game, but it's always when they're chasing teams that have already got to match point.
Yeah, they need to find something a little bit sooner than they have historically, so that they're not in that same position where suddenly the series is already won before they have the chance to get it done themselves. So circle-wise, again, this is why it's been difficult to predict. We're still going relatively central around the landslide area. TSM are just going to be outside of it. The train tracks in the middle is maybe going to be one of the more desirable positions that teams might go for. It's Serenity who hold that spot at the moment. But TSM will have the ability to push from the southeast here if they want. If they start to get pressured, they could go all the way back through staging. But you'd imagine at this point, there's going to be teams that could hold out at staging as well.
Well, VP were holding them out. It's a great job from our observer team to show you what's on the other side of the potential exit here for TSM. And you can see how difficult it is to get out of this vault tunnel late if you don't decide to make this rotation back to where you came from, like TSM looked like they might be thinking about. Because you have to fight uphill, right? It's 2 exits. It's the tunnel exit, and then you've got the staircase to try and work around it. It's just a tough fight when someone is watching it, especially a team that's so talented like VPR.
16 of our teams are within this circle as Virtus.pro are starting to see more teams arrive. This one's through the train track tunnel. But we do have 3 teams, or maybe 4 teams actually, just outside. We've got Kinatrope and Alliance still making their way through. And 2R1C and Aurora way out in the middle of nowhere at the moment. They'll be the latest arrivals to the party, as LG are previous winners up in second place. Can you imagine if LG were able to find back-to-back victories here to get onto match point?
And one thing I've learned in the Apex Legends Global Series is anything is possible. And LG, what a story that would be. And they've still got a lot of work to do, of course, to even bring that up as an idea for now. But it's been a great start for them so far, as it has for Dark Zero. Maybe not the jet-setting heights that we saw from them yesterday, but consistency is something that I mentioned, right? They've got 28 points at the moment, a good win here for them, and there's an opportunity for them to maybe just get within touching distance of match point. The other side of Landslide through the train track tunnel, you can see SSG on your screens as well. Almost exactly the same story for SSG that we've seen for DZ.
So a big worry for me with SSG, watching that previous last circle unfold, they have still yet to find a victory throughout the entirety of this tournament, and they had a victory within their hands in that previous game, and you could argue they threw it away a little bit, but we'll speak about that later, as Hackers has just taken down Verve. They are pushing up onto TSM. Alliance come out of nowhere.
I mean, TSM have just been caught completely and utterly off guard. Hackers got that opening knock. And now, Reps is left on his own. And look at Alliance. Hackers, Red Evo, effective unlucky, already on purples. And it's no surprise to see TSM get rolled this way.
TSM still with one alive. It's going to be Reps just to try and dart around and see if he can do anything from this point. But Alliance, that is job done for them. Not only do they get a couple of kills, but they also now will hold that vault area, which will be in the zone for a little while. Now, it's not going to be an area where you're going to win from. The circle's not going to pull down to the vault, but they can walk out of the vault on Landslide's side.
And the difference between walking out if you're Alliance and TSM, like we saw earlier, with the potential fight against VP, who are still inside of Landslide, by the way, is they're going to be leaving that tunnel with red, 2 purples, right? And it gives you that little bit of cushion when it comes to the fight. You can take a bit of damage before it becomes an even fight, so to speak. As now we see Aurora trying to do something similar here, but Kinotrope is going to be up on this drill tower, and if Aurora aren't careful, then they might get caught off guard.
Yeah, Kinotrope and Aurora, 2 of our later movers, and I don't know if Kinotrope know, though, that Aurora are that far out, because Aurora is still by Monument at the moment, and if timing goes right for Aurora, they should be fine, as Kinotrope have been spotted from Landslide. It's Virtus Pro, who are up in the height, just taking a few pop shots at the moment, which forces Kinotrope to take a more defensive position. And they're going to have to keep moving south here, because train tracks is going to be the ideal position. Again, it is Serenity holding that spot, and probably the best spot in the game at the moment.
This is going to be a very tough zone to win for anyone outside of Serenity at this point, because there's just nowhere to play. Essentially, it's just open ground. You have the extreme difference in height between the train tracks and the area that's below that. But 07, who took that fight earlier, are celebrating it. Well, not so many smiles on their faces right now. They're getting pushed, and Amphi is down. And it's all up to Nasky, but he gets the break, and there's a little bit of damage being done here, and he might be able to do something special.
1 HP in a dream for Nasky. Might be able to maybe get away and just survive for a short while longer. Dark Zero have heard all this, and they're sort of getting close to everything as well, as Fnatic and Alliance posturing up against each other. 2R1C have just lost Hayaka. So all these teams that are struggling to find spots that you were talking about are starting to lose players one by one.
Yeah, and this is just unplayable areas, right? Everybody has to essentially own a piece of open ground. You're seeing now that Killfeed start to warm up a little bit. 2R1C will go down. Kinotrope Gaming will go down as VP still hold the height here at Landslide.
So now as Legends Gaming going to be moving from the north, you can see Aurora have actually been able to find their way into this zone. Now they arrive all the way from the northeast.
See if Verticus Pro can get the cleanup.
Very close, and of course we've seen Virtus Pro just all over Landslide at the moment, but they are spread very thin. Pricey nowhere near the rest of the team. He's a little bit vulnerable, but also in a power position to do damage.
Yeah, Pricey's got to hit the shots though. This is one of these positions where all of a sudden if 3 people lift up on you, you can find yourself in a really rough spot if you don't do that damage. Nasky's still alive, by the way. Don't want to give too much information. Certainly don't want to curse him, as Nasky is now going to have to use a little bit of movement, a little bit of shroovement to try and stay alive. Unfortunately for him, the Longbow Frex will cut him down. It's 16 squads remaining now, as you are going to see that zone force everybody together.
Landslide looks horrible at the moment, as I think Reps just went down for TSM as well. Likely to see the elimination of them. It was Fnatic who just cleaned up the pieces of TSM in the end. Project Winnity, you got Dark Zero, LG, all kind of hovering over the northwest side at the moment, but it's only Reject Winnity who are within the circle out of these 3 teams. It's LG who still have to move in with this next circle. Seems like a good time. Let's check in and see how the vibes are with LG.
okay? Sliding down, using everything we have. Bang out, cost go.
Sweet, how much energy do you have?
260, I'm dropping it.
Yeah, drop it.
There's 40 on the ground.
Alright, nice. 170.
They're just trying to charge their evas.
Zero
How
and
many cells do we have?
danger here.
8. I'm 8 too. Listen,
Drop it 2 cells, Slayer.
LG's gonna hope that Dark Zero gets focused, otherwise I think they might actually fall as well.
Stabilize for a second with smokes, and then there will be a fight that happens here between the graveyard teams and anyone wrapping south, okay?
Yeah.
But we need to go kind of slow. These stick riders will stop shooting us once the fucking game. Okay? We are playing to kill. We are playing to fucking kill.
Let's reposition there.
We need to no half wipes.
Can we look at it right now? Like sweet to see what's going on. I see one on this crate still.
Yeah, and then the other team's right here. You see that?
Yeah.
Watch out for watch out.
We know what the plan is for Luminosity Gaming. The question is, can the plan be executed? DZ trying to force their way in as well, but they're in a little bit of a pinch too.
Yeah, key takeaway from that was LG playing for kills, and you kind of have to in this position, right? You're not in a priority spot where you can play for zone. You can see in the kill feed, Sorcerer's just gone down for Cloud9.
Yeah, they know they have a chance if they don't make it, they'll. Aurora takes out Cloud9.
And now Aurora, they are starting to churn up these leaderboards. 24 points right now.
And this is the kind of area that
Oh.
Aurora
Bloodhound got
when
fried.
things get congested, and they have that advantage with the evos that they've stacked up on their way towards zone. They can pick up KP on this side and completely clear it.
Fighting teams will benefit from a circle like this because you have to fight, you have to take advantage of all of these squads that are going to be nearby on the edge.
There's lots of teams on the right.
SSG have lost one. Get
GG.
used to it. Everyone's going to be losing members over and over here as this circle closes.
Fnatic trying to clean up the remaining members here of SSG. Omit eliminated in the meantime. Everybody is getting traded out, but not a huge amount of teams are falling quite yet. Unlucky trying to slide in with effect. Look at the
Aurora with the kills.
what's happening here at Landslide. SSG will go down finally. Aurora still looking to move in, and Hardeki ain't missing too many shots.
Aurora staying as a 3 is vital here. Blink and you will miss a kill, but Aurora are not missing a step at the moment. They're still healthy. They're still shredding.
This guy's
Skies
full.
will be the next team to fall, but Aurora now have Hardeki. He goes down. So does
Aurora gonna
Nidims,
fall.
and suddenly it's just Orain to try and survive.
Serenity gone. Virtus Pro gone as well. All of these teams.
I think he's gonna run to LG right here.
Side as Orain is gonna fall as he falls into the line of sight of Reject
Ah.
Winity.
He ran into
Caught in the
RC.
Reject Winity here. Still alive, still cooking, still getting points. 39 points they are on at the moment. 11 away from reaching that match point threshold. And they are in a spot where they can still pick up KP. But
Yeah, they're gonna go crazy here.
because you are not around the train tracks as Fnatic also go down.
Yeah, they're going to have some work to do here. They have to clean this side of the zone, and it's going to be Legends Gaming who have just moved in front of them into the zone. Also, they've got to deal with a little team called Dark Zero, who are on your screen right now.
Dark
Oh.
Zero, they're a real threat. We know from this northeast side they can swing south if they want, which will allow them to get towards the train tracks. Currently, Legends Gaming are the team that holds center zone. Earlier we spoke about Serenity. Serenity went down during all of that madness, and actually it's not Moist.
I think if Dark Zero capitalizes, they definitely got match
Another
point
team
here.
that is yet to find a win yet is not Moist. Maybe this could be the one where they start to show the form that they had in regular season.
LG having a little bit of an engagement the other side, and I think they've just completely and utterly wiped Liquid Alienware, and now they control the western side of the zone, but they have to move in now, and it's not Moist who are trying to hold them out.
Oh shit, I think LG falls here.
Smoke's going to give him a little bit of time, but not enough time, and Slayer will be left on his own, trying to finish this off. It would be a huge clutch for him if he can manage to get these kills.
Oh.
Not enough though. LG will be eliminated as
LG
not Moist
falls.
will hold.
Could be a big moment here for Reject Winity on that northern side. It's still not Moist, though, in the most commanding position. They can watch over all of this, and they have just taken down a member of Reject Winity as well. Not Moist really in a power play spot.
Wow.
Maybe this could be a victory for them.
And I've got to say, MT's player cams is one of my favorite. He is so intense, completely locked in as Reject Winity will be eliminated. Moist still in control of this zone, and they've got a wingman in the hands of Walsey.
Legends getting pinched. Legends getting pinched by Dark Zero and Not Moist. This could be a Dark Zero versus Not Moist finish, but there is a solo left of Alliance. And that really could change things. Here he is. It's Effect, and we know, right? Effect, with any weapon in his hand, can do some damage.
He can certainly influence fights, and there is one piece of influence in front of you.
Legends
Legends
Gaming.
Gaming will be
Wow,
eliminated.
Alliance.
Will not only get that KP, but also increase the placement points here for Alliance.
Well, now he's got Not Moist worried as well. Not Moist are still having to turn to their backs. They want to focus entirely on Dark Zero here, but they can't until Effect is wiped. 22 seconds till that circle is going to start to force Dark Zero towards them.
Wow.
Big decision here for Not Moist.
Can Alliance, can he clutch the dub on the cleanup?
One thing that he doesn't have is the abilities that he's used to on Horizon, though. Playing Bangalore this time around, which means that he won't be able to hit the crowd lift, to creep up behind Not Moist and DZ if they do decide to engage here.
I mean, the downside here for Effect is if he does swing down through the southern side of that mountain, he's going to be very visible to Dark Zero.
Well, Dark Zero, they have to move first here. The zone will force them into the line of sight of Not Moist, and you can see that they know it as well. Bangol's going down. They're going to slide down underneath them at the moment, but they take a little bit of damage. But are Not Moist going to challenge this? And more importantly, are Dark Zero aware of the position of Effect?
Effect's about to swing. Oh, it's
Oh.
that stick as well. Suddenly, they have to push on him. Oh,
Sheesh.
just been pushing Alliance all the way here, but it
Oh, no Moist. Damn. That was bragging.
Effect influences that game right at the end. Crazy shots coming in
That was insane.
to essentially gift the position and the win to Not Moist, and boy does that put them close.
Well, what an exhilarating final circle as well for all members involved. And you can see everyone pretty happy. I mean, it's all about getting points at this moment and getting closer to that match point threshold. It does send Dark Zero all the way to the top of the leaderboard and has them only 6 points away from that 50 points that we speak of. For Alliance, though, really important points as well. Just getting into that top 3 was massive in terms of placement. It does put them a little bit further up the leaderboard, but Not Moist. They get that win. This was the question I was asking. Teams that haven't won so far this tournament, can they find that victory so they can have that confidence going into match point? Well, now Not Moist, they can scratch that one off the scorecard.
I'd love to go back and watch the VOD for the moment that they took that position away from Serenity. That's the game-winning moment for them, right? They were helped so much by Effect. We know that. We saw it. Dark Zero tried to slide in and take Effect down without taking too much damage, but Effect too good in that situation not to take one down with him. Almost took the entire team down with him at one point, thanks to a little bit of help. And then they were able to convert in those final moments as well. But looking at the overalls now, looking at the scores, we are in a position where you're looking at maybe the top 10 teams. If any one of those, maybe a little bit higher, top 8, top 6. If they win this next game, there's a real chance we see someone hitting match point.
Yeah, the top 7 teams on 30 points at the moment. We can look at the match 4 results. Not Moist, 21 points on the board to send them hurtling up the leaderboards. They're now only 10 points away from match point, but it's Dark Zero's consistency for me. They are still finding themselves in those end games time and time again.
Elsewhere, you see the kills for Alliance to the end. How important is that performance from Effect, right? Just not just staying alive, but also Alliance picking up the kill points. We see them took down, they took down TSM in that vault tunnel as well. LG, again, not a game they'll be too disappointed with. Some decent placements and a couple of KP as well.
Yeah, it still pushes them even closer to the 50-point threshold. Aurora, 6 kills on the board. Fnatic, 7 kills on the board. A lot of these teams had to play for kills in that circle, and you can really see that by the score totals on our screen. As we look at the second half, though, it was a little bit more miserable for other squads. 07 got the better of Elevate yet again, but sadly, just as they had their come down from the high, they got attacked, and they got third-partied in the end. TSM not putting a point on the board. Cloud9 only 2. It's going to be a struggle for some of these teams that are starting to drift away from the chasing pack now, especially when you consider that a lot of these squads had those bonus points to start.
A little bit of a quiet one for the likes of Omit as well. They've had some pretty good games so far. Serenity, I think, will be the most frustrated in that game as well. They had that great position on the tracks, but weren't able to hold it. Usually there's one fight that takes place that decides who's going to have Godspot in towards that end game, and having held it for quite, the majority of that game, to lose it in those final moments to Not Moist, you look back at those games, you're like, one fight, couple of bullets could have been the difference between us being the ones who are called champions.
Yeah, circles like that, very difficult to navigate. Also, shout out the cosplay at this event is incredible. Everyone turning up and everyone looking fantastic in the crowds. They just seem to get better and better, these ALGS events, and this is the biggest crowd we've seen. So respect to everyone making their way down here on Sunday here in Los Angeles. Now, series results. I mentioned that Dark Zero only 6 points away from match point now. This is where we get to the business end of this tournament.
44 points for Dark Zero within striking distance, and their point average, you would imagine, if they have an average game in the next game, they might be the first team to hit match point. But the same could be said for the 3 or 4, 5 even teams which are following. Fnatic, 35 points down in 5th within striking distance. 15 points, very achievable without a win.
A key takeaway for me is Dark Zero's consistency across both maps throughout this tournament. They are pretty much a 50-50 split, regardless of whether it's World's Edge, regardless of whether it's Storm Point. So they don't really have a bad map, right? I would expect them to find themselves on match point after this next match that we see. Teams struggling a little bit. Obviously have to point out the fact Elevate have yet to put a point on the board. Contested on Storm Point though, and have 07 on the rotation in World's Edge, so it's been a little bit of a difficult time for them.
Interesting stat line there from 07 as well. 0 placement points, but 11 points overall, 10 of them from kills. Not quite sure that adds up if my maths is incorrect. But
Not quite.
Not quite. Hey, my maths is never good, but even I got that one. But Disguised as well, a little bit quiet from there. But Alliance, this is the kind of game you look back on if you're Alliance, right? And you're like, how important was that game in the big context of hitting match point? Because that could have been a game where one, you know, Alliance and effects fall a little bit earlier than expected, maybe take a fight, a little bit of frustration comes through, but surviving and living in those moments and getting into that top 3, top 2 with a few extra KP can make all the difference. Well, one thing that makes all the difference, if you're gaming, you're sat at home right now, is a beautiful piece of Herman Miller wear. And if you're liking, if you're one of those people who likes to take care of your lower back, well, so do I. We've already talked to you about this. You should do it. Big shout out to our sponsor, Herman Miller, the official chair partner of the Apex Legends Global Series. If you pay close attention, you'll see the newest Phantom colorways that our ALGS coaches are using this weekend. And in celebration of the Split 1 playoffs, all Herman Miller gaming products are 20% off right now through May 16th.
If you want one, now is the best opportunity to grab one. And yeah, as I said, he has stood ever taller since he has sat in one of those chairs.
Lovely stuff. All right, well, we've got to jump into a quick break now. Match point will continue here in LA. The question is, will one team cross that threshold when we get back?
So, Hero, what's the plan? Let's do some shopping.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You ready for another round?
Herman Miller, the official chair partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Alienware, the official PC and monitor partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back to LA, everybody. Welcome back to the Galen Center. And if you are just joining us, but it's a perfect time to do so. The match point finals are starting to heat up, and we are in the wonderful piece of our tournament now where one team you feel might be the first to hit match point.
Yeah, I said it's business end of the tournament for a reason, right? We're going to start to see those teams getting onto match point and making the rest of the lobby extremely nervous because it could be the last game they play when it does get to that scenario. However, still no team on match point right now, so that's still good news for those who are in the chasing pack. You have got time to catch up.
Well, you can see what they're playing for right now. It's not just the money, there's that trophy as well, as we can see the faces of every single player from every single team on that main stage, locking in and getting ready to change maps as well over to Storm Point again.
I'm rolling my sleeves up as well. I feel like I have to now. I'm trying to get just as locked in as these players are. And I was mentioning, you know, the teams that have found victories, the teams that haven't found victories.
I just started doing it as well, I don't know why.
Yeah, I know, it just makes me feel like I'm going to commentate better as well. As we get closer towards match point, and once we start seeing teams reach match point, I can start talking about how often these teams found victories throughout this tournament, throughout the entire regular season, and that's when those numbers really begin to count. Which teams are not going to crumble under that pressure? Which teams are used to finding victories when they need them?
Back to Storm Point then for match number 5. Just as people start to get comfortable, once again we pull the rug out and we switch that map up. Just a reminder of our standings. Dark Zero needs 6 points to hit match point.
Good game.
In behind them, Rejectability, they need 9. Not Moist, just behind them, they need 10. LG 12, Fnatic 15. So everybody in that top 5 within striking distance, and just behind them, you have the chasing pack who aren't too far away as well.
Well, round 3 and ring the bell. It's Elevate versus 07, but it's not just been Storm Point. They were fighting on World's Edge as well. Elevate yet to get a kill on the board.
Lasky looking to fly in. They've had to use the Radiant transfer early, though. Gravelift is going to be used as well to try and get up to that hype, and nobody's going to be able to take it. So early damage exchange is going to go the way of V8, but like you say, no knocks whatsoever. What a thermite that one is.
Big thermite, that's going to be a lot of ticks, and it might just encourage a drop down, and here comes said drop down, but now Nasky from behind, it's a 1-for-1 trade.
Oh no, EA. Trouble again. Oh no. EA putting up a fight. Oh, eliminated again. Off the rip. Aurora here for the cleanup. And clean them up. Easy cleanup. GG.
Everyone's fun but their own.
Classic Aurora.
Trying to catch some ALGS games going, you know, see what I got, what the gang got up against. When we make it to land. Hopefully we make it to land next coming.
That's why he's laughing.
It's
Sunday game.
From Aurora.
Appreciate you tapping in.
Recognizing that there has been a contest going down that has been elongated at times, and KP is available, so the rest of Aurora dropping down towards Cenote. We just get one lone member of Aurora at Cito Station. Brilliant. I love it. This is exactly what Battle Royals are all about, right? Recognizing where the patterns are. As the downside, Dark Zero's rotation might just catch out Aurora.
Yeah, wait, I was going to say, wait a minute, though, because Dark Zero might not know and might kind of split them in half here and just look for their rotate before anything else. So we'll see the zone on your screen. We are going to the north here.
And Dark Zero are moving down, by the way, because they don't have any information on zone right now. They didn't have a ring console to work with, so they're trying to get to this survey beacon just so they can get any sort of info on where people are going to be going.
And the good news for both Aurora fans and Dark Zero fans is that nobody really took any casualties in that little contest that we see going down. So everybody will be safe apart from 07 and E8. And I've got to say, one thing I've really enjoyed about how Aurora have approached things is they're not really willing to know, they're not playing the gentleman's game here. They are looking for the best way to get points. They are being so efficient, and they aren't afraid. We saw them hot dropping on people in groups, right? Split drop in, seeing someone drop, they're 3-man them. Any way they can get points, Aurora are using it to their advantage, and I just think that's brilliant.
There's no rules that state you can't just drop somewhere else and ruin someone else's game. And as you mentioned, it's been happening all tournament long, and they, I guess, are becoming the villains of the lobby. And
points are points.
I'm okay with it because I want to see more of it, to be honest. Now, Aurora, they will be rotating later on, so instead we can start to focus on the teams that have actually found themselves to more of the ideal positions. So we've got Omit here, can reside on this rock for quite a while, but there are a few teams around. Rejectability and Serenity are the other two teams. Now, Serenity were in this position last game. They were in one of the better spots. Sadly, they lost out to Not Moist, who went on to win. So Serenity will know they need to be holding these spots a little bit better in this game.
Well, Serenity, like you say, they have one of the great spots. RC inside of the armory, but those broken armories, I always talk about it. It's such a different position than it was in the previous season because of the fact that the walls are broken. There's so many lines aside that can be picked off by other teams. And Satsuki up on the high ground is looking to pick off a few shields here with his flatline.
If you're some of the teams that are in the lower half of the table now, you want to see teams like Fnatic dropping out and getting eliminated in this early game. It is Dark Zero on the other side. Again, another team you would love to see get eliminated, excuse me, if you are one of those teams. But Dark Zero just don't have the same kind of info that other teams do at the moment. You can see the ring console is over here, so they'd love to be able to hit it, but Fnatic, they're just holding them off right now.
Armor checks on both sides are going to pretty much indicate this is an even fight as well. So I don't think anyone really, with 18 squads remaining, wants to engage. Zero, you can see he's made the call. He's already out scouting towards where they can play for this zone a little bit later on.
And this is impressive because this is just off survey beacon data that they've got. They've realized they saw those teams just on the northeast of checkpoint, and now they're going to go and say, all right, well, we're going to commit to the same places that others have. As SSG, who are in 7th place, 30 points at the moment. Again, a victory here, you know, 8 kills and a win, and suddenly you're on match point. This is what you were speaking about. If you're in that kind of top 8 at the moment, you are very close to being able to achieve that threshold.
It's Kinotrope Gaming who are on the other side of this, shall we say, engagement, little bit of a poke battle between the two teams. Nobody really close enough to capitalize if a knock does come in. Zone's going to force these two teams together. SSG are already out there, though. You can see they're trying to move through Launchpad, through the Spider Cave, and away, but instead they're actually going to take to the skies to do so. Good shots through the air here from One Tappy. But that bridge will belong to SSG now.
There's not many open areas on the map right now, but there is a big fight happening, and Alliance will get the upper hand to start with and double up here.
They can Alliance hold them down, and they can Legends Gaming balls to Alliance.
In their team fights at the moment, and this is more of the Alliance that we expect to see, right? A scary-looking Alliance. A team where when you team fight them, they usually get that first knock and collapse and get the job done quickly. OXL going to be popped here as well by Unlucky, and this is a great spot for them to hold to.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's an interesting spot because even though the circle might not be pulling this way, a lot of these teams that are rotating from the south are going to have to come this way, otherwise they get pushed into just carnage of all the teams that are holding on that middle side and just the northeast of checkpoint. So Alliance can potentially pick up quite a few kills if they stay there, but this next ring
already know
is going to be a big one. If it suddenly does shift, maybe down to the eastern side, it could be so beneficial for some of the later rotations, and in particular teams like Alliance and TSM, who have not been able to get
we get
to
a
those
chance again.
A little bit sooner.
Challenger circuit, so
in a spot where I think
turn
they
up.
realize they're not going to have prior to where they believe
A sharp turn
might
up.
be going, but they're hoping that it's going to shift back towards them. It's not going to do so. You can see that everyone's kind of predicted this one right, and we are going to be ending up outside of the drop down of the wall where those nuts are. Speaking of nuts, LG on your screen. That could have been phrased much better.
Made me giggle. So now LG, they're going to be here for quite some time, by the way. The circle could continue pulling their way, and they're going to be pretty happy with it. My only worry is when teams start to force themselves through the wall, one of the first points of contact is going to be these nut buildings. And if you split yourself too thin, you become very vulnerable to someone just diving in, taking a building off you, and maybe catching one of you. So LG making themselves big at the moment, trying to take up as much space as possible, and you can understand why. They just have to be well aware of what could arrive.
One good piece of news here for LG, though, is this is one of those zones where everybody who's approaching from the southern side of Storm Point is going to have to fight each other, essentially. Yeah. There's like chokes you have to go through. There's only so much playable area, which means they can kind of let the game play out a little bit and guarantee some placement points before they have to make any moves. It's the opposite to what Alliance are finding right now. They have to fight their way towards this zone. They have to fight their way through wall, and here comes Hackis.
Hackis done a lot of damage to begin with his Team Liquid Alienware on the other side.
Alliance comes for the wipe.
Trade, but it might not matter because
Can they finish them off? They finish Liquid Alienware. Let's see if they get the reset.
And they can relax. No
Can
one
they get
is
the
nearby
reset?
here at the
They
wall.
do.
So this is the position I was talking about, right?
Phoenix.
Teams are naturally going to come towards them. They can take those fights.
I think they're by
Are they gonna be able to
themselves.
win the game? Because when
VP
they
trying to
force
see if they can get
themselves
the.
through wall, LG are going to be waiting on the other side.
But the good news for Alliance is by winning that fight, now they own the wall. So they can move through
Holding it
towards
down,
those nut
holding it
buildings that
down.
are being held by LG. And they'll be able to scan and find out if they are split holding. They will be able to take one of the best pro positions if they can get close enough and cross to where LG find themselves at the moment. LG, of course, are going to be looking at that and thinking we can't let anyone cross without taking damage. VP's trying to work the other side, and hey, look at Aurora. They've all decided to play together.
Yeah, Aurora have gone all the way round on the western edge. It's going to be Disguise. They're going to be right in front of them. They can hold the trenches for now, but Rain's gone down already. And sadly, one member of Aurora gets caught off guard.
Yeah, Designful, big 1v1 win, and he gets the finish as well almost immediately, which means that Aurora now are going to have to back up. DSG want to try and finish this one off as well, understandably so, but that's one of those situations where getting the knockdown shield not up quick enough, being taken down and turned into a death box here hasn't allowed the rest of Aurora to get into a position to close in. So DSG will be comfortable here, Aurora will scarper away, and I've got to say, this is looking like an Aurora reset.
Well, Disguised have got a lot of fans in the arena, and I'm sure they'd love to hear what they have to say. So let's jump into it listening with Disguised.
It's a game over, bro. I'm dialed. I can get a good game here. Tell me something. Where did they go? He ran over the hill.
Is he trying to see if they can hold him up?
I would assume. My dog is Sibo.
I think they need to get a zone. They might get. Well, no, I think they're in zone.
Got it. You need to get your perp.
They're holding edge.
Well, DSG own this part of the zone right now. You can see that they're going to be trying to wrap a little bit later, I think, towards the position, excuse me, of LG.
Reese's actually.
Everyone who's moving from the southern side now, this is where you're going to see the congestion start to build up.
And you're going to get a lot of teams that are going to be similar as Disguised. They're going to be a little bit quiet in the moment because they're just waiting for that next zone information. There's a lot of players and teams that are in the dark because they didn't have ring console getting into the position they find themselves in right now. A team who may just be trying to get extra information is Fnatic, who are going to be sitting up towards Checkpoint. Remember, there is a ring console in Checkpoint if Fnatic would like to use it.
They're also going to find Aurora on that trident going back deep in towards zone. I wonder if they did manage to get that banner.
I just wonder if Aurora just played a different game at times. They're just having a fun time going through the red, ignoring every other team until the final circles start to happen.
This is why they get all three players back up again. So they get that trident, they get the banner, they get the res. And now, even though they are going to be taking a fair chunk of zone damage as it is going to be zone 3, they're going to find some evacs, they're going to get in a position to get back into this game. And you know that they would have marked DSG as a team to take down if they have the opportunity to fight them again.
Two redstone controllers and one's gonna fall here.
Still hasn't found a victory in this tournament to another. SSG still looking for that first win. But maybe, you know, you get to match point without finding a win, and that first win that you've been searching for happens once you're on match point, and you save the best for last.
2R1C are going to be inside of wall. Alliance are already in the bottom side of wall as well. As we turn our attention elsewhere, Cloud9, they're in a fight against Kiddertrade. This is on the southern side of zone.
Airdrop in danger.
Mia K using the grab lift that was left to him. He's going to have to use more than that at the moment if they want to win this fight. A spray through the window isn't going to be enough, but a couple of shots into more players might allow them some KP, but this could be the end of the game. No, no, no! C9 get eliminated,
wow.
but
You dropped eliminated, Cloud9 eliminated.
Coming with the perfect third party.
Big kills for Not Moist as they edge closer to that match point
Not
threshold as
Moist,
well. You can see they are being shot
pressured on.
from the distance though.
It's swap, you got the swap.
Them, Virtus Pro in front
Aurora,
of them.
but from a distance, I think they're able to get the reset.
Collision that's going to happen on the southern side between three amazing fighting teams. Speaking of fighting teams, TSM versus SSG is happening on our screen. Reps the last remaining player.
TSM trying to hold on for dear life. Reps falls.
TSM will fall as well.
TSM falls again.
As SSG will clutch up in that moment.
Such aggression.
Oh, look at TSM's
aggression, but no. They're not going to be rewarded for it here because 2R1C, they heard what was happening, and this is the danger of moving in late on this eastern side around wall. Is all these teams are searching for kills. Fnatic, they're also eliminating the kill feed.
Dark Zero as well. One player has fallen, but they're going to be able to get the reset. They're 3 points away now, Dark Zero, from being the first team to hit match point. They are so close they can taste it.
Well, a team that's broken records in this land and has been unbelievable at this event. All they need is one more team wipe or just a play placement, to be honest. They've got such a good position in zone. Here's the fight we were talking about earlier. Virtus Pro, they've got all the way down, and it's Aurora.
Surprise, surprise, it's Aurora, right? Aurora come through, but to talk about Dark Zero again, we're talking about our match points teams. They are safe inside of where this zone is going. So unless they get seized, unless they get a team just throwing themselves at them, this could be their opportunity to hit match point here. SSG eliminated in the meantime. All themselves being popped by Zero. It's a massive chance for them. But Not Moist also, overlooking Dark Zero and looking to take their spot away.
There actually could be a fight here which could really impact who gets to match point first. Not Moist take out Dark Zero. Dark Zero will not be on it. And Not Moist will have the best opportunity to do so. Only 2 points required now for Dark Zero to get there because they've got the extra placement point from top 10. Not Moist are taking every angle possible.
DZ are looking to hold. Not Moist are looking to breach. Guild is playing with fire. However, MT is looking for an angle here. If he can get an Arc Star stick, if he can force damage onto them,
Not
maybe
more
they get a
trying to
burst
see if
through
they can
that door.
hold it
Guild
down.
takes a little bit of damage.
Dark Zero.
He gets taken out. Zero. He's gonna
2
take
points
a
away
swing.
from match point.
Jump into a listening with Dark Zero as they get that first knock.
And they have match point.
Alliance now fight on the other side of the zone. It's LG who've been trying to hold down this split hole for so long. It's up to Slayer now to clutch up. Hackis gets the kill. But it's not going to be enough, you would imagine. Slayer trying to move in. Trying to find the bodies through the smoke, through the fire, through the flames. And Zori's going to take him down.
Alliance eliminated. LG trying to hold it down.
LG will hold. This is what we were talking about earlier, but now Reject Winity are going to have eyes on it, as are 201C, also involved with a scrap trying to push their way through from this southern side. All the meanwhile, by the way, Dark Zero have hit match point with those kills onto Not Moist, so we've got our first team that crossed the threshold, and maybe, just maybe, Dark Zero can have that opportunity to win in the next match.
The question is anyone going to be able to join them? Slayer, he is so weak, and LG will
falls.
fall. Reject Winity, they are 4 points away. We can have 2 teams jumping onto match point when we're done here.
Aurora getting involved with the scrap as well. Disguised also involved in this one, and the revive as Dark Zero have lost players here and maybe will be eliminated, but here comes Sykes!
Here comes Sykes! He falls down out the dropship, and maybe he's going to influence if we will have 1 team or 2 teams hitting match point here.
And that's the point, right? Dark Zero are on match point, but let's say Sykes goes crazy, and actually Sykes can get more as Aurora wiped off the face of Storm Point. And now Sykes, you can see the focus as well. The pickup, the newest addition to Dark Zero, the trust. But now you've got to go up against Disguise.
Well, DSG want to swing, they want to make sure they take him down, but they've also know that they've just seen
Did you know they risked
someone through the window just a few moments ago, so it's not going to be an easy fight. And the last thing they want to do in this situation is trade.
They play slow, they play slow.
Seconds left on this game clock. Elsewhere, Serenity still strong.
I think this is a big game for DSG.
Holding down the rocks outside of it. 2R1C are holding the choke, but Reject Winity have to be the focus here. They are still in that armory, and they are so far away from all of the rest of the carnage. So there is a huge opportunity, not just for placements, but for KP as well.
That's a big risk
for Reject Winity to join Dark Zero on match point. 2R1C have just lost a player as Lufka does the damage from a distance. For Dark Zero, they would have probably done the math, the 2 players who have gone down, and realized now that match point has been secured, but it's Reject Winity. It's their turn. It's their chance to try and send themselves onto match point, but they do have to move relatively quick here from the northern side. They've been waiting here for quite some time. 2 blues on their side, but 2
The rest from controller and
Shaco is just getting burned alive. 2R1C will be eliminated as we're down to 5.
Target spotted.
Omid, just 2 players, and here comes the move now from Reject Winity.
Big Winity, 3 points away, 3 points away, 3 points away, 3 points away.
They get that gen down, and they will be safe behind this rock as well. So the nades, they're not going to impact them. The gen is going to be huge for them.
It's another purple for them as well, and it's important for Reject Winity. Survive, survive, survive. Get into that top 3, get those points, and get onto match point as Serenity lost 2 because of a grenade. It was Reject Winity with said grenade, and I think they might try and push up on this because these kills could be exactly what they need.
Well, they can secure some of these kills, and maybe they're going to get the points they need. Is 2 points to go for Reject Winity to hit match point.
Hi, Andres. You watching? You gonna watch too?
One more point. One more kill, one more placement is all Reject Winity need after such an incredible tournament so far. And there we go, with Serenity and Dark Zero eliminated, Reject Winity will cross that threshold.
Now it's all about who wins this game. Omid's still with Jude. Reject Winity with 3, and Disguise
Reject
up on the
Winity.
high ground at the moment with a full 3 as well.
So this is more important for Disguise and Omid now, as this job done for Reject Winity.
DSG fans getting a little bit loud here in LA, and why wouldn't they? 28 points on the board at the moment,
DSG
but a
gets
win
a
here.
W. I think if they get a win, capitalizing the KP, they might be close to match point.
Great aggression coming out of Designful just to take an angle, and he's got the portal to go back if he needs to, but Disguise recognized now. Omid were weak, and suddenly it's a 3 versus 3. Big points could be here for Disguise.
Now it's a 3v3.
Reject Winity, who have hit match point, they have done their job. But will it be done in style? With the win here, Obi's going to go down.
Somebody
DSG
drop.
trying to
We're
trade
gonna
out
knock.
kills here. Cowboy's going to drop. Thank you. With the Mozambique in his hand, gets one onto Timmy as well. Jumping into the portal. The DSG portal is going to be Catapu. Can he get back into a position? Gets the armor swap to maybe win this 1v1, but it's designed for on the other side of it. The Sentinel charge in his hands. Knockdown shield's going to be up. Designful still with some shields.
DSG wins. Wow, big win for DSG. Did they get match point? Oh, I think they might be off by a few.
As it is much needed points on the board to send them into the top 5 now. What a way to introduce yourself to the grand finals with a victory like that.
DSG with the win, but the story is not theirs for now. We have two teams who have hit match point. Reject Winity and Dark Zero in this next game could be crowned champions of the Split 1 playoffs.
And of course it will be Storm Point again, which is brilliant news for both Dark Zero and Reject Winity, who have been able to find the majority of their wins this tournament, but it's Disguise who have this moment. Getting a victory on LAN in front of a crowd like this, especially a crowd that absolutely adores you, is a moment I'm sure this Disguise team will remember for quite some time.
Well, just remember, that lineup was very, very close to winning the ALGS championship as well, and even though at the moment they're not quite there, they're not quite on match point, if they do hit it, they've shown they can win a game in this grand finals lobby.
I think what's important for Disguised is they put themselves within touching distance of the match point threshold. So if we are to see Reject Winity and Dark Zero fail in match 6, then it means that Disguised have that opportunity to reach match point themselves and then start to be one of the real threats in this lobby.
We're going to take a look back at the winning moment of that last game as well, and it's Designful, whose portal you thought might be detrimental at one point as Canonpu went through, but had to pull back due to the zone closing behind him. But this is the final moment here. Designful gets that armor swap, and that's the difference maker, right? Finding this Havoc, he beams one, he shreds one, and they just spots him out. You see the ping come in there? That's great communication.
And even though you say, you know, the portal might have hurt him in the end, it gave him so much valuable information of where the player was going to be. And it was just that little bit of damage as he exited the portal, which allowed Designful just to shred through those shields and give him the upper hand in the 1v1.
And it's another great example there of the clip size of the Havoc, right? I mean, you can just hold that thing down, it's going to keep firing, keep firing, keep firing until you eventually do the damage that's required to close that game out. Disguise top of the leaderboard. 12 points for them in placements and 10 kills alongside it means 22 points will be their total. Reject Winity get enough points with that 14 to go on to match point. So for them, it's all about winning now. Omen, 10 points for them. Dark Zero as well. Another team to hit match point.
Well, Dark Zero have had 6 wins so far in this tournament prior to this grand final. Reject Winity with 4 wins prior to this final in this entire tournament. They are going to be difficult to stop finding a victory with the consistency we've seen all tournament long. Now on the other page, again, we had the incredible 07 versus Elevate contest. You had to pop off from 07, but it only lasted a few seconds once more. It's been a great fight to watch, but sadly, Aurora really thought on their feet, and they decided, well, we've seen this commotion happening on the map, let's get involved.
I love the idea that Hardeki didn't even say anything, by the way. He just jumped out the dropship, and
everyone else is like, where are you going?
Impulse are like, just leave him to it, leave him to it. It'll be back in a minute with some kills. 07 though, like you say, it's just the kills at the moment. The placements really aren't there. TSM, very, very quiet from them, but let's just remind ourselves that we were in a similar situation at the ALGS Championship, so we all know how that ended. We'll take a look at the series results now to see how we find ourselves, and like we said, Reject Winity and Dark Zero on match point. If they win this next game, they will be crowned your champions.
And that is an incredible opportunity for both of these teams, whilst it is still just 2. Because remember, the more teams that start to get onto match point, the more nervy it gets. So this is kind of Reject Winity and Dark Zero's first shot, and it seems like a freebie, considering the rest of the lobby is all going to be chasing points at the moment. And the chasing back is not that far behind. Not Moist only needing 5, LG only needing 7. And you can still look at both Disguised, Aurora, even Omit, Fnatic, Serenity, even SSG. You find a win in this next game, you're probably on match point as well.
We'll have to find out if Reject Winity or Dark Zero will be joined in this next game by more teams on match point, or if they will be lifting that trophy. Time for us to jump to a break. When we get back, more Apex Legends coming your way, and maybe, just maybe, the final game.
This world is so fragile. Once you start throwing stones.
Two teams at match points. It may very well end here, but I know we want some more Apex Legends. Insane to say, Reject Winity could potentially be the first team from APAC North to take it. But with the way that Dark Zero is playing, that dub is inevitable.
Wouldn't it be a treat for a region that has always had so much love and so much support for Apex Legends? Look, I know I've heard so many people being like, can we finally, please, just maybe have an APAC North win? Today is looking like it could be the day, Vicky. But as you say, Dark Zero also looming after that amazing first couple of days that they had, winning multiple games in a row. You can never count them out.
It's also record-breaking, looking at Dark Zero. The way that they've been able to just farm out these lobbies, we know that this is a team that is very kill-heavy, but we need to get that dub. Two teams already at match point, and I mean, the top 4 teams in general are so close right after that.
Yeah, I mean, look, and kill-heavy is a good way to put it as well, because it's not like it's just one member going out and performing for these top teams. I mean, all 3 of Dark Zero's members going into this finals lobby, they were 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in kills. They were, same with the damage numbers. Gen was well ahead of everyone else with 25k, eclipsing 2nd place. That was Effect on 22. These guys really are head and shoulders above the rest, but you still got to come out with the dubs, Vicky, and that's finally where we're at. Match point has been reached by both Dark Zero and Reject Winity. Will, of course, be keeping our eyes very close on those 2 teams in this game.
And as we get set up, I want to hear from you, LA. Make some noise, get hyped! It's time to get into the action. Our pros are ready. Our audience is ready. Gino, with the way that we've been seeing, I mean, Reject Winity is one of the only teams rocking that Watson, and there's no crypto in this lobby. Your fences are safe here.
It's funny because if you go back to 2022, that, you know, APAC North was the region running so many cryptos, and they've always done it a little differently over there back in the days when we had Rev Octane. They were the ones going crazy with it, and now finally we see a lot more Watson for the APAC North guys.
Also helps that that Gen deletes the Nox grenade that we've been seeing this entire lobby riddled with caustic, so it's a direct counterpick to allowing these teams to just brute force their way into a lot of these buildings, still keeping the bloodhound for that information. But you know what? I don't expect a change, that 50-50, because from 07, we don't want to see the taunt to get bodied again.
Yeah. Well, I hope Naski's got maybe some duct tape on his arms to the chair this time, because you don't want to be getting up when you've got Aurora nearby. This time they don't go for it though, and they do take an early loss with Amphi going down.
Isolating Amphi though, almost trying to retaliate, but a nice off angle. Flipping away on the other side, Natsuki gets a lead to 07. Get eliminated, it is time for Elevate to have a chance.
Elevate don't need Aurora's help this time. They say sit down to Natsuki straight away. It's such a fast fight win there for Elevate that they're actually going to be able to play out this game relatively normally. Now, having a look at our overview here, you can see the teams highlighted in white, Reject and Dark Zero, they have got more than 50 points. They achieved that last game. That means they are the only two teams that can end this series for us here.
And looking at where this circle is going to be moving on to, probably by that choke on the northeast side of Jurassic. Hearing the crowd getting a little hyped here as we take a look at the squads that have been struggling. TSM. Looking like another story is being written.
Okay. Legends over here. They've lost strafing Fame early on.
That way.
Interesting. To go back down towards Stormcatcher here. It could have been a dropship issue. Perhaps they were trying to get on the gravity cannons with TSM. Of course, you know, there's a lot of the time on that north side of the map where you even need to take the gravity cannons just to reach your POI. And if for some reason Legends were getting into that with them, could have run into some issues there. So, yeah, with that circle very much going down towards Jurassic Park. Previously, we would have said, no, can't end there. It'll be outside in the mid-map ski lift area. Virtus Pro are going to rotate very early from there. Even 2R1C have exited Jurassic as well. So with the ring console information that they had, that does lend us to believe that it's going to be more north of Launchpad.
All that information off their POI as we take a look at Dark Zero now making their appearance. Over by Cito, they're looking at Elevate.
No ring console for Dark Zero, so I think that's why they've stopped over here at Cito.
Also could help them with that rotate here too. They also have the survey beacon that went in when they exited out of Mill, as we see more teams taking the Trident.
Oh, 2 rats on controller. They've ratted very well here as they see a team come down and just get absolutely rinsed by them on the gravity cannon.
Tomcat Rat Cam here, 2 rats on controller living up to their name. Gonna be able to call out Koiful from Legends for going on the other side of the gravity cannon. They're gonna be able to try to chase whatever's left of Legends. And not really worrying about a third party here, because while they are gonna be moving north side of Stormcatcher, teams like Kino Trump are still on that south side.
The chase is on. They see player K trying to make his way out. Meanwhile, that fight has not gone so well for one of our match point teams here, with the other 2 Dark Zero members getting into it with Elevate.
Elevate finally winning their 50-50 versus 0-7. And now chasing right behind Dark Zero after losing out on that one teammate, a team that is at match point as they're trying to run for their lives. This is a team that doesn't have a support legend. They cannot get Zero back up.
And it's a very interesting proposition from here, Vicky. What do? They're on match point. Do they play for the win? Do they try and somehow get back around and grab that banner? Lord knows it's going to be hard if they try and grab a dub with 2 people. We've seen it happen with 1 in this tournament before, but that's a hard task.
See if they can wrap around. They are still in that first circle here. Angle called in as TSM. Are looking down at Alliance by Lightning Rod. No team in the vicinity, the third party right now. So while they are going to be able to avoid this bangle, it's still going to be able to have the space necessary before they decide if they really want to contest in this direction or if they want to wrap around.
I mean, TSM are used to fighting in these buildings with all the contests they had over there at Lightning Rod.
Wait for it, wait for it. They think they're safe, but they're waiting for them. They're waiting for them. The jump from Elevate to catch Matt pointing Dark Zero off guard. No banner for you, Elevate. They only find sights though. There's still 1 member alive that they did not catch. It is Jen Burden.
And that's fascinating. Even the fact that they just put Sykes in there, right? I mean, to me, that says they think they have to go for it and you know, try and retrieve the banner and want to be a trio. If they really had have committed to that, they would have sent Jen in as well. Elevate still waiting down there. It was a 50-50 play from DZ. I get the thought process behind it. I think they say, hey, if we're ratting, maybe 1 is almost as good as 2. At this point, you just try and grab a couple of points, and it's really a go next here for Dark Zero. Our eyes turn to reject Winity. As you can see, they're in the middle of the map here with LG and nowhere near where this final circle's going.
Dark Zero officially eliminated from this lobby. Reject Winning, the only team left on match point as Aurora smiles all around here for Hardeki. They're going to be able to not only rotate off of this, a little bit of the heals here, but also see where they want to approach from that next circle as LG looking to approach our only other match point team left in this lobby, Rejects.
Yeah, and they've taken the height above them. Reject Winity, they're set up, but they're set up in completely the wrong area. The zone nowhere near them now.
Looking like a Picasso painting with those Watson fences all over the walls here. This Sky's now engaging. Design's gonna be able to take onto the roof. The Beast of the Hunt activated from the other side to get some scans going, but enemy does have that Nox grenade to try to funnel out this team from inside. Nice tick damage here. Timmy looking to try to engage at a different off angle. They have to cycle through here. Enemy taking a little bit of damage, but this fight taking a bit longer than they may have liked. While on the other side, Reject Windy still waiting patiently in here. They have to move eventually in less than a minute.
But they just feel so locked in. Okay, Bang ult goes down. LG doesn't have a pylon. They've got nothing to soak up those missiles coming in, so this should push them off the roof. But Slayer still there, the one who has to hold it down with the barrels. Are they really retreating at this point?
Meanwhile, Sky's letting up the feed, finally engaging here. Serenity is eliminated.
And that was just to the north, right? I mean, Disguise might come down the zip line on the top of your screen very soon, as well as Elevate as we swing the camera around. They're lurking. They've got 6 points right now, all from kills in this game. They're just being a menace. How many other teams can they mess with? Imagine if they took out both match point teams.
Oh, the comeback factor would be crazy here for
Elevate
Elevate.
looking
As they're looking
aggressive.
to
Maybe they're
engage
trying
right
to
now
capitalize.
onto LG. Don't forget about Disguise though, coming in from the north side by that zip line. The bees have come in, they got the knockouts of Funk and Slayer, and now it is only Sweet alive as a wrap for
DG looking to
LG.
capitalize on this.
Disguise creeping down the hill as well. Meanwhile, reject of Scarpet. This is fantastic for our leading team's chances. Above
They're
Dark
gonna
Zero
run
in
that team.
points.
They're right there in front of them.
Contact.
Rejects go closer to Jurassic, down towards even Pylon, where the zone has actually shifted. So 2R1C, remember, they moved out of Jurassic to the,
Think they should have saved
the
that port.
northeast. Hasn't swung in their favor.
Hitting some shots with that Sentinel, but Timmy also taking a huge chunk of damage while E8 try to rotate south side of Disguise. That zone is closing in on Disguise too. Saw some plays being attempted to be made by Design. before deciding if they want to try to just leave it here, call out the solo that is Sweet still in the circle.
Yeah, could grab the kill onto that one. Round 2, if you've got enough meds, I mean, well, 1 med kit, 4 syringes, maybe they'll grab some more here. Yes, does resupply. Probably worth it at that point. I mean, Disguise, they've been cooking all season long. Rampart, you know, now we're seeing them trying to make the Wraith work here in the finals. And sitting in 5th spot, they are trying to make that case.
Looks like RC's trying to go for the...
Look at this next circle. Virtus Pro are nicely set up inside that building. Could get heated very quickly with the amount of caustics that we have in this lobby. Finding themselves pinched, whereas Liquid TSM playing by the edge of Pylon. We know that Pylon has that ring beacon too. But while TSM try to find some space here, there's a lot of space to actually coexist with in Pylon, while this fight now happening on the north side.
Well, we go and check out this fight with Reject. We're just missing where that zone pulls to. I can tell you it's right on the border of Pylon and Jurassic. It's going to be a fascinating circle. It'll provide some homes to teams in both POIs, but there's not a huge amount of cover. There's some rocks, you got some palm trees around there, maybe a broken building.
You also have a quarter of it with the mountain in that circle, also a fence line that exits out of Jurassic into Pylon, and you also have that high ground mountain that you could overlook the squads that will have to rotate and funnel from the Pylon side. Kino Trope already getting ahead of the curve with that choke point.
Aurora right in the thick of things here. They're just about under Virtus Pro. 11 points to match point for them. Very doable in this game.
Can they hit that here though? His Reject Winity still holding down this north side in less than 20 seconds, though they will have to start moving. They're trying to gatekeep Disguised.
Yeah, Disguise coming in here. The setup with Watson inside this tunnel is good for keeping Disguised out, but it's the next move that Reject Winity might struggle with. But first, can they move through Timmy and Co?
Even if you take this fight, you know there's going to be at least 3 squads waiting to gatekeep you. That's huge with that Arc Star. Trying to close in the gap, they back away, but Reject are playing this so passively.
I think he timed going back through the portal to avoid the damage. Big plays. There we see the Wraith coming into it just a little. But they can't use the portal anymore. Watson fencing that one up.
Design always showcasing what that Wraith can do, with the Lions are in trouble. Borufa gets knocked right here. Mia K, the last one alive. They found some loose trade as LG get eliminated in your feeds. Now Mia K, 1 shot, wingman shots coming in. Can he make the miracle happen? No, he cannot. Kino Trope get eliminated. Alliance stay alive in this lobby, and look how many teams are coexisting here.
Okay, so that's Reject trying to walk this one in. You can see though, Cloud9 have a much better position ahead of them. Alliance getting stuck in the zone with DSG.
Oh, and Elevate are gonna also be able to get the res off the zap. Using the nade effect, the last one alive for Alliance. Disguise have cut them off on this rotate. You see the pings here, he's trying to heal up. He gets a 1-shot, Design goes knocked. And the wingman shots, they are just enough to eliminate Disguise here. And he's got the Moby.
This man is so locked in right now. The banner's right there for him. But the question is, do Reject know this? They're right across him. If they move now, they've got the Bangalore. They can make this cross and stop Alliance coming back in. I mean, look, Effect has clutched up every fight we've seen him go into so far, but this 1v3 would be incredibly hard. Let's listen in with Reject. The crowd cheers as our second match point team goes down and we secure a game 7. Look, I maintain it was the right play there by Reject to go for that fight, yet they cleared it out successfully and maintained their shields. They would have had an awesome position going into the final circle, but Fnatic with the third party remove the chance
for their brethren to get in.
We get to see some more Apex here in this lobby. Aurora now gonna get the knock onto Yanya. They try to take the roof here. Oi Rain, though, gets beamed. Now Hardeki maybe looking to see if he can try to at least get that rest. There you go. Also having to reset himself, popping that shield bat. You see the scan as well. They also have the gold knockdown shield as Hal hiding in between a rock before managing to get away, at least to go into the high ground, because there's Virtus Pro on the other side.
Moist very close to their match point eligibility. You know they're counting these points. 2 more.
Liquid getting eliminated here, but C9 may put a stop to that match point goal in mind for Not Moist. They go out! 2 points away! TSM get eliminated, Not Moist. Hasta la vista, mid. Lefka and Blast still alive, but C9 controlling this building, having the high ground here. They've been here for quite some time, 2 Genome, as they still have those blue Evo shields.
Aurora. They've only got 3 kills so far in this game, but they're looking like they've got a chance to move up as well. Fnatic, I'd say, will most certainly do it. They're in an awesome spot. You can see this getting beamed. These buildings don't offer as much cover as they used to. All of those players trapped in the stairwell.
And this fight, winning this fight would put them at match point 2, but C9 put a stop to it 4 right now as Fnatic now down to a duel playing on the outskirts of this building. They pick up the wingman and do not let it go before backing away.
It looked like it could have been a shoe in there, but they lose Leica, the kill leader for the tournament.
Oh my, another one. Another one. This is Respawn corner right now.
Oh, they can't do without him. Leica is back in. Omit and Cloud9, I don't think they're gonna move out. They're too close to each other. Maybe some nades come in, but... Oh. All right, Fnatic, the other problem is, as this round starts to close, Vicky, this zone shrinks. It will take Fnatic out first. They are in a position where they have to make a move.
Unless Omit and C9 distract each other here, as C9 now having to exit from this building, engaging on this fight. Sunthrower gonna get the beam with the Havoc. Gold extended energy mag here. Naughty gets the next knock here. Omit get eliminated. Our last 5 spots left. The Fnatic already went ahead and rotated and could gatekeep C9.
Cloud9. They actually get all the way back up. Can they get the battle before Fnatic swing with a wingman headshot? That's it. What? No, they go out at 49.
Are you kidding me? E8, the Grim Reapers in this lobby are slowly climbing themselves back up into the top part of the leaderboard. 3 squads left.
Elevate started with nothing. They are up to 14 kills.
How do you go from 0 to 100 like this? E8 with an insane comeback story. With 21 points for right now, but 14 kills is crazy. As Aurora having that slight low ground, they have the lifeline care package for some extra makeshift cover.
Unusually for them, they've played it a little bit slower, not bullying people out with the red armors. They have actually managed to tick it up with the placement points this time. 48 points for Aurora. Every other time we've seen a team on this score, they have gone down. If the other teams are guessing correctly who these teams are and taking them out in time, then I'd be very impressed. But they are really trying to make sure that the fewest teams possible are going to be on match point for match 7.
The fact that Aurora are 2 points away from also hitting match points. 38 points right now. They are neighboring Virtus Pro. Team that rotated very quickly from barometer.
Yeah, this is a huge game. Holy shit. Like, Elevate Gaming is at the bottom the whole, like, game, but now they're coming back. Holy shit.
I mean, VP on a single kill right now.
Aurora close to the match point.
No
the knock. The knock.
He's the first one to get knocked from Aurora, but none of these teams could push first though, so it's a bit of a
I think
stalemate.
Elevate Gaming is gonna take this one. Oh, with the stuff.
This time onto Zap. The Radiant transfer, the conduit.
I think he
That's the
wasted
ults
that
control
Q.
so
Should have
much
held
space
it.
with that ult.
Oh, you
Wow,
wouldn't
he
have
just
been
had
that
loot
happy
on
with
reserve.
125 shields. It'll consume that arc star damage.
This is also a big game for Virtus Pro.
Teaming up to take down 9 Impulse and Aurora. I don't know if they can live through it. Can they just get a knock? Maybe a finish here? They need the 2 points.
Oi, Rain gets it to cover for right now. They try to
Can you
swing.
get the 2 KP?
Find him in an angle, but he's safe until he's forced to get out.